Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Closed Traffic Podcast, where anything can happen, including us not starting on time. So, moving right along into the show, I saw you down there jamming, Robert. I was going to do it in my mind. I was totally jamming to the music in my mind, but I was like, nah, I didn't want to be
I
that guy.
love that beat.
I'm glad you did it for me. Sweet.
I
So
love that beat.
we are just tickled to death because I finally found some internet, and so I can actually live stream now. But before we get into it, I just want to introduce my partner in crime here, my the guy who pulled it through
Here we go.
when I couldn't find the internet, when there was no internet connectivity to be found. My man took up the reins and just saved the day. Ladies and gentlemen, your friend and mine, Mr. Mike Salmon.
Hello. What is going on? It sounds like you're breaking up a little bit there, man. We gotta go talk to Elon and get something figured out.
Man, hey, we talked to you. That's your boy, dog.
That's
I
my
don't know what to
boy.
tell you from that one.
What is going on, man? It is it's good to be running a live show again with you, man. It's been some time.
Sure.
It's been some time, since you stood up Big Earn, and it's been some time.
Hey, man. Hey. I mean, I'm telling you gotta talk to your boy, man. He was slacking, man. Had to call in a few favors from people I didn't know to make it happen, but fortunately we made it happen. I'm just happy to be on, and happy to actually have our return special guest here, Mr. Robert, aka Yellow Bus, aka Hollywood. Sir, say hello to the people, my friend.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be here again.
Sweet.
It's always a pleasure.
Good to have you on, man.
Absolutely. Robert, man, I know the last time we had you on, which, man, seems like a couple weeks ago, but it was what, a few months ago?
Seriously, it did feel like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it did, man. But, you were like, walking us through the process of getting that fourth stripe. And, I am pleased to announce that you're able to accomplish that, Mr. Captain.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
We gotta get this guy.
I appreciate it.
You worked hard for that one, man.
Yeah,
I remember
absolutely.
you coming on and walking us through the process and giving us the lowdown, and I was like, my mind was blown. So
blown.
You had your work cut out for you for sure. You've been able to knock it out, and you've been even more busy now that you're flying left seat, right? Lots of trips and all that stuff going on, huh?
Yeah, they got to get me acclimated to that other seat. So it's the same plane, but for some strange reason, same plane, but it's completely different. If that makes any sense.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Like, what's different? So obviously, like the duties, right, and obviously, the roles and responsibilities of an FO versus that of a captain. Obviously, the plane flies the same, but like, what are some of the nuances? Obviously, from a process and procedure standpoint, but also like having the stick in your left hand versus your right, something as mundane as that. Like, is that a big difference? Has that been a big difference for you?
I thought initially it would be, and I went out and I purchased the Wing full airbrush stick, and just to get acclimated with it, just to see that if I was going to have a problem side sticking with my left hand. Now, traditional yoke, we could have both hands and move around. I could take one hand off, or it's fairly easy. Even the ram horns are the same way. Like, it wasn't that bad.
Right. Yeah.
But I was afraid that going from my right hand, I'm right hand dominant, going to my left hand, I wouldn't be able to rotate as well. But that was just later on. That was just my mind. Like something that I needed to do. Everybody else like, oh yeah, you're fine, man. It's not going to be. And sure enough, it really wasn't that bad. The sight picture and everything. I mean, by the time you sat down in the sim, switching your hands was it was a second nature, basically. By the time everything else said and done, I never even noticed it. So I
Never
worked
even
myself up
noticed
for no
it.
reason.
No, man, going back to that Wing joystick, I've been looking for some peripherals for DCS, and man, Wing, they're a force to be reckoned with. I know
I've
everybody
never heard
talks
of
about
them.
Virpil, whatever. Everybody talks about Virpil, but Wing, they got some pretty snazzy peripherals, man. You gotta check them out, Mike.
Wait, is it Wind?
Whiskey India November Whiskey India November Gulf.
If I wish I could pan easily my desk right here, but I have the F-18 stick is sitting here, and then the F-18 throttle sitting here, and then the two panels are sitting here, and then on this side is the honeycomb, and then I have two other MCP panels over here, and then my VR headset sits in over. So yeah, Wing has a lot of money basically.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they're a little on the but Virpil is as well. I think just like the joystick part, not the base, but the joystick. I was looking, I think they're like $260, minimum for a lot of their peripherals. I think there was like $1.75, something like that. But anywho, yeah, if you're like in the hardcore DCS and even like an Airbus type style flying between those two companies, you really can't go wrong.
This is what I took off. I don't know if you guys can see this, but here's the Airbus stick.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I think there's a couple other ones that are on the market, but
that's official.
The Orion base is where, or the Libra base is where it's at, because I can take the cams off and adjust it to how the tension that I feel is exactly mimicking
what's in the tension. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I have no problem. And it's got the stick here too as well that you can throw on for views.
What do you all use that? I've always been curious. What do you guys use that part, that hat switch for in the Airbus?
The hat switch isn't there.
Oh, it's not.
And
so the red button, the disconnect button, isn't it?
The disco is there. The push to talk. I thought I remember seeing that.
Maybe there might be 350.
Okay, that's probably what I was
saying. Whatnot to get over. I'm not entirely too sure if that's there. I literally just flew with a 350 first officer. He came from Qatar, and he was a captain on the 350. And I had a ton of questions for him. He was sitting there. He was sitting there like, man, you got a lot of questions. I said, yeah, I want to fly the 350. Man. But that might be where that rotating hat switch is. It might be on there.
Probably some kind of cursor control or something like that, I imagine.
Yeah.
Man, this thing is. I gotta stop us here for a second. Why don't we hear about these folks too much? This is just me. It's just like Mike, you need to get out from under your rock.
Yeah, fam.
We hear Thrustmaster. We hear Honeycomb. Right? I've never heard of these guys.
I've had these. I've had the F-18 stick it's going on 2 years now.
Wow.
If not a year and some change, coming up to 2 years.
They're pretty solid. It's mostly, Mike, to in your defense, fam. It's mostly, you hear a lot of it, especially a lot about them in DCS and DCS community.
Oh, is that what's going on?
Yeah, Virpil and Wing, they got a real, because they do the HOTAS site type solutions for DCS, the desktop mounting, stuff like that. So that's the main reason you really don't hear, in like the traditional.
Okay. I was gonna say I watch all you other streamers out there. I've never seen one of these on your desk, so I have see what's going on.
The other part is like it's expensive too, compared to a Thrustmaster. Like the mounting system is. They did a really good job with the cams and the unit itself, but the mounting system, like it is one size fits all. But then, like compared to what's the other Fox mount or the other mount that's out there, like their mounting system out the box isn't that great. Like it's good, it gets you done. It's better than spending more money on it, but I found that other mounts are significantly better than what comes out the box.
Right.
And then space. So like right now, my desk is right here, a little closer. But the F-18 stick comes way back out here. So like I lose a lot of real estate. you know,
Oh.
and then it's not easy to get off either. It's like it's easy to get off, but like fine tuning it so you know the center is dead center, because if you don't have it, you know, dead center on your desk, you know, you can imagine flying around and you're like, why is my plane pitching up all the time? I can't stop it from pitching up. It's 'cause
Oh
it's not
my
centered.
gosh.
Yeah.
Holy smokes, man. So do you find, Rob, you know, did you sorry, my kids. Did you, did you find that, you know, using that side stick kind of helped in prepping you a little better for the left seat, or you think you could have, you know, you would have become accustomed, you know, or become acclimated, you know, in the same amount of time?
Um, I would say initially, if I had no Airbus time, yes, yes, it would. Just because the amount of slop that you can get in the Airbus,
Right.
sometimes you can get a lot of slop from left side to right side. You know, especially in gusty conditions. Um, after I'd say like 500 hours in the Airbus, no. And
Wow.
honestly, it's great for hand flying, like no
Hmm.
automation.
Hmm.
Um, and that's kind of where it stops. It's like
Mm.
kind of turns into a giant paperweight after that. You know, for takeoff roll, it's good. You
Right.
know, rotation's good. Landing and flare is good. Outside of that, you know, you got to have the automation off to really,
Yeah.
to really get a
Yeah.
full benefit. So
Full
there's points of
benefit.
times where I would have it off,
Hmm.
and you know, I'd fail the FS Lab. I'd fail a whole bunch of stuff, so I wouldn't have my automation back.
Right.
You know, down to like one MFD, and then everything all discombobulated, and have no auto thrust. So then I'd have to work through different procedures, you know, while I'm hand flying, try to maintain altitude, and then fly the, you know, ILS or RNAV in.
Right.
Um,
Right.
you know, and that's where it pays off. But everyday work, if you're not doing failures or nothing like that,
Eh, eh.
it's small change, I suppose. Yeah.
No, I get it. I get it. No, I was just curious because, you know, I know how long does it take? Let's see. I'm sorry, I had that. It was just random because I seen Mike had posted that a question in the chat there. Drew Stone. How long did 500 hours take to do?
I think he's asking how long did it take to accomplish 500 hours on the Airbus. I'm sure it's specific to the airline and how
Oh,
much you're flying, but
Right.
yeah, that's really because like for my airline specifically, we could work no hours. So you know, everybody kind of laughs at me because I don't work. Well, yeah, I choose not to, but yeah, you can, as long as you're keeping your medical insurance, then you know you can drop down to nothing.
Oh
You
wow.
know, you'd have to pay for that your medical on your own. But we don't have minimum hours of work, so typically we're limited by a rolling calendar. It used to be 1,000 hours a year. It's a
Mhm.
cumulative 1,000 hours. So 500 hours in an airline world would probably take you 6, maybe 9 months, if that.
No.
It's really hard to get to 1,000 hours. You will. If you ever talk to a pilot that's worked 1,000 hours in a year, he has no hair. He's got bags under his
Oh.
eyes. His shirt's dirty. He's single. You know, that just doesn't happen.
No, I totally get it, man. I totally get it. But I mean, congrats, though. You know, nevertheless, I know we've said like 100 times, but
I
that's a
appreciate
yeah,
it.
it's
huge
good.
feat. I mean, last time we talked to you, you know, you were still in the right seat. It's like boom, you know, all of a sudden now it's,
Yeah.
you know, Captain Rob. I mean, I think that's really cool. I mean, it's, you know, has it really kind of hit you that, you know, wow, I'm, you know, actually in charge of the airplane? You know, have your peers kind of given you a little grief or anything like
Um.
that? You know, a little ribbing.
No, not necessarily. I mean, I guess once you get to the majors, because you've already upgraded once,
Right.
it's a hey, congratulations. All right, get out of my face type deal. You know what I mean? Like it's
I can
cool.
see that.
It's cool when you're at the regionals and you upgrade and you're like, yeah, man, you know, we finally made it. Like we're
Hmm.
like our aviation career has like plateaued, but the
Right.
majors, the upgrade, it's like, it's cool. It's great. You're going to get a pay bump and whatnot. And I'm not trying to underplay it whatsoever. I'm just saying
right.
The cumberness or the whole jovial part that you get when you were a captain at the regionals is not quite there because you got to get to work now.
Right.
Gotcha.
So it was it wasn't as big as for me, for other people it might be a little bit different, but for me it wasn't as big as a step. Because I'd already been a captain before. So
sure.
It was the step for me was just particularly getting used to how the environment ran.
Mm-hmm.
With our airline, we run it very particular, and if you're not particular yourself, then that's when bad things start to happen.
Sure.
So I had to get myself, in that mindset. Like, hey, there's been points of times where I've been flying lately where things have been going haywire, and I shut the door. I need to be particular at this moment. I don't need any distractions from anybody.
Right.
I will call you when we're ready. We're not leaving on time. I'm
right.
Sorry.
That's just what it is. Right.
I need to focus on getting us off this gate right now because there's issues.
Wow.
But I mean that's in the captain's tool bag, I suppose. You
for sure. You can do that. Shut the door.
But yeah,
I've never seen that actually. Is there like protocol as it relates to when, obviously, like once that beacon light comes on, it's time to push back. That door needs to be closed. But the flip side of that, is there protocol that when boarding is in process, that cockpit door technically should be open?
Yeah, it's our first point of egress. So
got it.
If there's a malfunction and there's a fire, 25 feet down the side of that. My big butt is not a good flyer without wings. You know what I mean? So, and then hitting all the tubes on the way down. Yeah, that's the main point of egress. So we technically have to have it open, but if there's a point in time where I need to say, hey, time out, like I did, that's an option to me, or us as a crew. It rarely is a thing. I think most airlines put a curtain, the first class curtain.
Yeah.
Especially in the Boeing. I think the Boeing has a weird locking system where if you lock the door, you might not be able to get it back open or something like that. Ours, electromagnetic lock, we can get it open, no problem.
Right.
In fact, that's one of the things I think P3D did, or FS Lab, is if you have a complete electrical failure, that the make cabin door will open.
Oh no
you
way!
Gotta be smart enough,
man. They are on the money, man. They're on point. FS Labs, man.
You made Mike's day right there.
Oh my goodness, I've never seen that.
Had to get some water on that one, dude.
Yeah.
FS Labs for the win, man.
It's one of those bits, man. If you're not paying attention to it, and it doesn't, the magnetic lock doesn't lock correctly, or doesn't sense it's a failure or a fault, you pay attention because that door will swing right on you, right open. And man, I mean, so they'll have a little curtain that they'll put in there on some of the airlines. I've only seen it on a Boeing. I've never seen it on an Airbus, but yeah, and they'll just put it there, and the door will be partially cracked. You know what I mean? And it'll be you'll never notice because when you're boarding, you just come to the right. You rarely ever look to the left to see what's going on. And if
not us AV geeks,
you're
left. You're looking like I look left before I look right. They're trying to greet me. I'm like, hey, yeah, whatever. Let's see what's going on.
Oh man,
yeah, that's cool, though, man. That makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
There was a question in here.
No, I think Gio had it.
Gio had the seniority.
We're going to segue into it.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. We're definitely going to get to that. I want to continue on the track here in terms of so obviously, Robert, last time you were on with us, you gave us, kind of the rundown in terms of the progress or what's required to upgrade and all the variances and the nuances that go into that. How was your experience? Like, you got down to Dallas and you were there for a couple of weeks and whatnot. Like, walk us through kind of like what that experience was like.
Yeah, so like at 4 years into the game, and you've got time on the aircraft, you're pretty acclimated. V1 cuts, stalls, steep turns, um, uh, RNAV approaches, single engine approaches, wind shear, all that stuff.
You got it.
You know it.
Mhm.
Initially, if you were, and that's one of the reasons why I say you take some time to upgrade. I cringe when I hear these guys upgrade in like a year. Like,
Wow.
what are you doing? Like, not unless you had time prior. If you had
Right,
experience
right.
but it's a different story. But so at that point, you already know coming to the left seat, it isn't too much different, particularly in the Airbuses because if it's out and off and it's working,
Mhm.
so the sim portion was really good. My sim partner was a rock star. We do for all new hire and all new hire and captain upgrade. It's captain and captain flying or FO and FO flying.
Oh, cool.
There's no intermix.
Ooh, okay.
So typically, if you're getting a type rating, if you're doing FO, you both have to know the captain's flows. Well, the captain portion is like easy peasy. You got a couple buttons to press. That's it. If that. The FO flow is a little, it's a little, it's more cumbersome, a little, little more, but captain stuff's real simple. So as a new hire, learning that is a little difficult, but you can push through it, with time. Now when you upgrade, you still have to remember the FO stuff because you're seeing seat support for your sim partner. So it's not like I could have just dropped all my FO stuff. I had to still, while he was flying, we bang V1 cut, positive rate, gear up, select any activate secondary, badge nav, like that. I have to know what he's doing as an FO, even though I'm doing my captain training. So it wasn't difficult at all, but there have been points in time where I hear some of my compadres, they're like, oh, I completely dropped my FO stuff and I was messing up as an FO. and so that messes up the dynamic because now as a captain, if your FO is messing up, guess what? You got to catch it. So you can only imagine in the middle of your V1 cut, you're like, bang, okay, all right, engine fail, all right, off the runway, positive rate, we'll gear up. You call gear up and nothing happens. You're like, here you are, you're hitting the trim as you're going down, you're full rudder into the deflection, right? And you're pulling back and you're starting to hit the trim as, the V1 cuts in the Airbus are a little wonky. You usually have full deflection at that speed, but you're looking out of the corner of your eye. You're looking out of the corner of your eye here while you're rotating the aircraft. You're getting yourself all mentally straight because hey, in the sim it's coming. It's not like hey, you're gonna have a V1 cut here. No, they set you up and it's coming. But it's up to your partner to really focus and so sometimes as humans we get that way. We get fixated, we get focused, and we forget where we're at, what we're doing. And especially if I'm messing up. So like for instance, if we have the V1 cut and we do it 555 visibility, so we have no visibility, and we have a V1 cut. And so what ends up happening is the plane drifts off the center line. The only thing you can see is those center line lights coming, off your right eye, basically, if you're sitting in the left seat. And if you get the cut, and you drift off the center line, you're off center. Well, the guy is looking to make sure he's like, hey, what's going on? Like, are you straight? And so that's what happens all the time is you need to trust the guy to say, hey, I'm flying, I'm good. You need to worry about the next step because the next step is coming.
It's coming.
So sometimes that happens is, you call positive rate gear up and nothing happens. And so you as a captain, you might, you don't know. It's like, hey, is this guy incapacitated? Like, yo, bro, wake up. Figure it out. Like, I need the gear up. So, and then so now you're dealing with this engine failure. You're dealing with, your sim partner or whoever is flying with you at that time. And so, that's and you're in the sim, that's your butt, even though he messed up, you still pilot command.
It's on you.
Right.
This is where we're paying you for. So, so I've heard, it didn't happen to us. My sim partner was much better than I was. I'd have to admit, he was definitely on his A game. And that makes you better. It makes you
absolutely
100% better because if he's on his A game, I'm like, well, shoot, you ain't gonna catch me slipping. I know that. I'm gonna get my book on.
Man.
So. But
it's always nice to have that rock star next to you. It's like, man, I'm so glad he did better in ground than me.
yeah. And it's ebb and flow. So that portion, the sim portion, was really good. We were flawless, didn't mess up at all. There was a secondary V1 cut. He actually did, and I have to backtrack myself because it was so long ago. He actually gave us an engine failure during climb out, and I happened to catch it really quickly, and that's what I did. Yeah, I remember it now. So after positive rate gear up, and we're accelerating, we're about to call flap 0 after takeoff checklist. So the flap retraction circuits. He went flaps 0 and left engine cut out. Wow. And I caught it. I hit the VS 0, leveled off. Didn't have the autopilot on because most of the time you never do after you just rotate. You're smart enough to turn the autopilot on at 400 feet in the sim, good for you. But usually in the sim, you want to, I know, right in the left seat, like you want to get more stick time. You want to get that feel of motion. So you want to hand fly as much so you can, get all your insecurities out. And, I happened to catch it and hit VS 0 and then leveled off, accelerated, and, started calling ECAM actions. And it was so subtle. It happened so quick that he didn't catch it. He's like, well, what are you doing? I said, hey, man, we got an engine failure. He's like, what? And sure enough,
come up on the ECAM.
Well, it took a little while. It took a little while to
notice
to do it because normally, you'd get your ECAM, you get your triple chime immediately, but it wasn't. It was just a rollback. Rollback. So there was no triple chime.
Oh, okay.
There was nothing. It just y'all.
Interesting.
And it just, I just happened to add the rudder, and I'm like, oh well, this is nice. This is actually have a failure cruise, and so the instincts kind of kicked in, and then and he caught up really quickly. He's like, man, I didn't even know we had a failure. I was like, yeah. By the time I needed to tell him that we were having an engine failure, he had already figured it out. Because he had to get himself back in there because the next steps that he had to do was completely forward thinking. He wasn't thinking about an engine failure. But I was hand flying, so I had my feet were instantly notified that there was something wrong.
Got it.
Versus he had his feet, a little bit down, so he didn't know.
Right.
He wasn't, so. But stuff like that. Like I said, the sim went really well. The oral went really well. The flight portion was good. When we do. Initial operating experience, it's usually like 25 to 30 hours. The airline loves when you get it at 25, but sometimes things happen, cancellations or delays or maintenance and stuff where you can't get it done. So they just schedule you in 4-day blocks or 2-day blocks to get all that flying done. My second trip, first trip out the gate, it was great. It's fantastic. I was ready to go. I'm sitting down in the airplane, getting all the stuff pre-flighted in, and the line check airman gets in. He's like, man, you're already here. I'm like, no, man, I'm ready to go. But, for the most part, the IOE is an oral the entire time. They're
now is Is that what's senior the chief at the airline, or is that with an FAA examiner?
No, they're basically so line check airman is somebody that's designated to the company to do authorized to do teaching, like a CFI, basically.
Okay, got it.
And they're authorized to sign off and say, hey, this captain or FO is good to fly under 121, all the digits behind that.
Okay.
So they have to go through a pretty rigorous training too, because they're training the trainees, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
Right.
So but they're regular pilots. They're getting they're getting adequately compensated, but they're line pilots, and how every airline sets it up, they're a little bit different. But our airline, they have an option every month or so. They could be a line check airman. Every other month, they won't be a line check airman. So it's not like it's a permanent position. Like, hey, you have to be one throughout the entire rest of your career. Some airlines work it out a little bit different. Ours is more flexible for them to. So at points of times, you'll fly with a guy that's in your domicile, and he'll say, "Yeah, I'm a line check airman." I'm like, you're like, "Oh, do I have to? Am I getting a line check? Like, are you testing me right now?" And they'll tell you, say, "No, I'm not. I'm not doing my line check airman duties right now, so you don't have anything to worry about." There you go. Shoot. But the flight portion was great. I was done like 3/4 of the way through it. The Bogota round trip I did 3 Bogota trips, so 4-hour oral there, 4-hour oral back, 4-hour oral there, 4-hour oral back. And I'm like,
wow.
And it got to the last leg. I'm like, okay, I'm not flying anymore. You are. Because I'm like, I'm tired of you asking me these questions, man.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, and they're doing their job. They want to make sure that I can operate, safely and without hesitation, do things instinctively that a captain really needs to be doing.
Indeed.
So
Sure.
So beating me up during a flight was the best way to do it, and whatever doesn't kill you make you stronger. That's one of those.
Absolutely. So going back to Bogota, Rob, how was that, man? I remember you were mentioning it. During our last show. Was the any issues with it? Any issues on the approach?
Bogota's a little bit different. And the reason being is because there's so much variation with Bogota.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike Mexico City, like Bogota, for starters, their biggest problem is you can only get ATIS 100 miles from the airport. And maybe just because Bogota sits in a bowl, and
right.
But it's a digital age. You can get it from the globe. But
right.
I have yet to have somebody explain to me why Bogota is not a digital ATIS. They have digital ATIS, but you can't get it within 100 miles. So if you look at a map, just 100 miles north of Bogota has some of the highest mountain ranges out there. So 100 miles out, you're beginning to descend.
Yeah.
So rewind a little bit. At that 100-mile mark, like you should already know what you're going to.
Where you're going to be doing.
It's crazy.
Bogota has 2 parallel runways that and the airport's in the center, and you're starting to descend, and you're like, maybe we're landing north, maybe we're landing south, maybe we're getting this arrival, maybe we're not. And at the same time, in your head, you're like, okay, what if I have an engine failure right now? Where am I going to go? Well, a 21,000-foot mountain is in front of you, right? So you're obviously not going to Bogota anymore because you got to drift down and able to get yourself there. Or if we have an oxygen problem, if we depressurize, well, we got to get down to at least 14,000 feet, right? So there's a 21,000-foot mountain. That's not going to work, right? So where are we going? So there are things that are happening right at that point in your head, like, all right, this is an area where we need to really pay attention. Now, failure outside, getting the aircraft to Bogota, all that's happening all at that one spot. Within right when you hit the coast of South America, you're getting over um, um, Cartagena, and I'm forgetting what's north up over there too as well. But as soon as you hit the coastline to some terrain, uh, that right there is like, hey, this is a trigger. Things are about to get a little weird here, coming into Bogota, so we need to be on our A game. And so the studying behind that, like, okay, the engine failure procedures, right? Um, a different strategy for us handling different engine failures at a time, and we have an obstacle strategy. Is basically we slow down the green dot, we start doing a cruise descent all the way down. If we have one engine, we have no engines, then here we go. We're down the green dot and just flying down.
Sure.
At 38,000 feet, you can get pretty far.
Yeah.
But oxygen failures, it's another thing. Hey, what are we going to do here? Obviously on our O2 mask, and then our flow from there. It's pretty intense if you really think about it and do it. You time and useful consciousness. We quick done. You know what I mean? You have to have it on that point because everybody behind you, is relying on you to be alive.
Right.
But doing that at that point, getting yourself prepared for that, and then on top of that, we haven't even talked about the arrival yet. We've talked about the approach, we've talked about the weather. Bogota's weather is a mixing bowl, like literally. Yeah, it could be telling you, hey, it's clear, and then 5 minutes it's heavy thunderstorms. So
Wow.
wait, really? So what's one of the requirements for flying international is you have to have an alternate. So if you guys are ever using your sim brief, you don't see an alternate when you're flying from domestic, out there for a U.S. carrier. You have to have an alternate. So it's one of the main reasons why is because there's variations flying into different countries. And the fuel requirements and all the other things prior to leaving, those are the check boxes that need to be checked out for us too as well. So the pre-flight isn't too much difficult. It's just like I said, the stress behind Bogota, just getting into Bogota.
Right.
And English is the first language on top of the CAL requirements for radio communications, but they will speak Spanish. And then don't be that guy if you do know like broken Spanish, start to speak Spanish to the controller because he's gonna fire back Spanish at you, and you're like, why would you even attempt that if you don't speak Spanish? Like, why would you even do that, man? That's dumb. So, outside of that, man, I mean, Bogota will have it will push you right on your. It's a hot and heavy airport, so
density altitude's a factor, I'm sure.
Into there. Yeah, density altitude is a beast.
Yeah.
The single engine missed approach is a little different. It's an immediate turn up a valley, around another corner, and then holding over top of Bogota VOR. It's a pretty lengthy approach. So you have to have that in your plan too as well. Now our aircraft actually have the single engine out SID. It's called EO SID. That pops up automatically on our plane. So if the aircraft senses a failure, it'll pop up in our box. It'll say, hey, do you want to do that? You want to fly that now? Click activate, manage nav. It'll fly it all the way around.
Wow.
Prior to this little update, right, or prior to this being available for us, you had to build that in the box in your secondary flight plan. So you can only imagine. Okay, well, I'm setting this up for a 3-1 left. Crap, they just switched this around.
Oh,
so now you got to reprogram the arrival and reprogram the mist.
Right. So so now whoever's flying, hand over the controls or whatever. You could fly it or do it. But most people typically, if something like that happens, the other guy or girl just handles the box. Like, hey, you fix it,
right.
And then we transfer controls to verify, hey, you entered it correctly, and then that's it. So the descent is where it really gets really gets, to the point. So the first leg I think I had an 11 knot tailwind in a 319. And for some strange reason, like it clicked. Like I'm looking at it, and the line check airman is like, "Hey man, you got a 7.5 knot tailwind," and and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it. I'm like, "Man, can we circle?" He was like, "Yeah, that's an option." I was like, "Well, sure, let's circle." And it got to the point where I'm thinking in my head, all right, rule number 1. Do not do circle land. And I'm saying it, here we are. We're on final, right? And I'm saying this in my head. I said, Rob, your first rule is you do not do circle land. Okay. Well, what's the risk? Like, what am I really doing here? Well, I'm not actually circling IMC. It's just a VFR procedure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
right.
He's right. I'm all right with that.
Yeah.
Well, there's a full procedure how to do a circle land. If you never, like in the States, you'll never do a circling procedure in an Airbus. You'll never do it. And so, the first time that I actually wanted to attempt to do it, I'd been doing them on the sim because I knew I was like, hey, I probably need to start practicing this just in case I needed to pull this out the hat one day. So I'm doing the math. I got height above touchdown. I got the tailwind factored in. I got my 35 seconds for the downwind. I'm at flaps 2. I go base leg gear down. And I'm already doing that in my head. As I know exactly how to do it. I've been practicing. I said, okay, here it is, and I followed through with the book. I pulled up I had the spot on the book, so we could talk about it before we actually did it. And I had it all highlighted. The line check airman knew how to do it. I said, okay, well. We should be good. It should be dying down, right? Got to about 9.5 knots on the tail. We're crossing the threshold, and in my head, I'm like, all right, so tailwind is going to push us, right? And V tire is 195 knots, so I can't land beyond 195 knots. I'm looking down at the flare. I kind of glance down. I'm like, ground speed. Because at that point, so the ground speed mini, right? Your magenta triangle, ground speed mini will actually throw you up. So there's been points in time where it's been gusty, where we had to pull the selected speed, and ground speed mini has shot us way up to like 160 knots, past flaps full extension speed. So you'll see your approach speed way up in the red. I'm like, well, that's not cool because the computer's thinking that you're going to hit wind shear. It's looking ahead. It's a predictive system. And so you just pull selected heading, dial it down, and you'll add maybe 10 or 15 knots, just for the cushion, from there. And so that, so I'm thinking about it. I'm like, man, my landing's going to be long. Well, all right, I'm going to plant this one. There's not going to be a soft landing at all.
Right.
And sure enough, man, I came down threshold at 50, 40, 30, and at right before 50 as that power idle, because I knew it's gonna float. Right. So I timed it out really well, and we're at the touchdown zone, and in my briefings now I include if I'm not on the ground by here, we'll execute the bomb landing. So we'll do go around flaps, full toga. Fire right into ground fit, pause rate, gear up, then I'll call go around flaps. You'll retract it to the next knots of flaps. But we know, hey, look ahead, because when you're in ground deflect and you go around in that bus, it'll actually sink because you'll retract the flaps a little too early. So most guys will look ahead before they actually retract the flaps. So you'll call for go around flaps. They'll look like, okay, we got to ground.
Oh yeah, ground cool.
But I saw the touchdown zone, and I knew I was going to land it hard. And sure enough, man, I mean, it actually worked out pretty well. I think the tailwind turned into a headwind right over the touchdown zone. And line checker was like, "Hey, we're on the ground, right?" I said, "Yeah, we're on the ground."
You know what it was, man? The winds were like, you know what? It's Rob flying. Let's go ahead and flip those other way, man.
It had to be. I had set up for a hard landing. I had set up to just plant it down and not go past the point where I needed to bulk it. was like, hey, we're going to accept what we got.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And contributing things, I guess, it was just pulling the power back a little bit before 50.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had it pretty much idle there and just letting the tailwind just naturally bleed off.
Gotcha.
And you know, and it was howling too. I mean, it went whatever the wind was doing at that point. You know, the wind in the MFD was spinning and didn't know which direction the wind was going. It was like it's coming from here, here, and here. So you know that was Bogota in a nutshell. Just the unpredictability of the arrival. You know, you have a whole bunch of stars that are there, and one of the key spots is, you know, Amvis, which is a point on the star, and they'll clear you direct to Amvis. You know, which, you know, it's an arc. One of the arrivals is an arc all the way around, and you can tell I've been down there a lot, literally. But they have speed restrictions that you got to pay attention to, and you could get holding at the last minute, and you know, so you know that's one of at least mine for my my arrival briefing is, hey, our bingo fuel. You know, like, hey, if they accidentally give us a hold here, you know, hey, here's the minimum we need at this point to get out to, you know, Cartagena or Medellin or wherever else. You know, but yeah, I mean, Bogota was nice. It's fun. I wish there would be more controllers on VATSIM so you guys could see.
I was gonna say, man, I've never been down there in the sim.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, I've never been there. I've been to Mexico City a few times, but man, never Bogota.
Bogota, it's like it's not bad. It really isn't. Like, especially in the sim, it's like, well, what the heck is this guy talking about? It's the easiest mud pie. You know what I mean? But IRL, I mean, it can catch you with your pants down really quickly.
Oh yeah,
sure.
With other sequencing, I mean, Avianca has a strong presence there. I think that's their hub.
That's their hub, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and then at any minute they could have taken circle 15 or whatever, the other south facing runway. You know, and they'll break you off from the ILS and say, "Hey, circle." I'm like,
circle. Wow,
that's great. Like, we totally didn't set up for this. So, yeah, I mean, you know, it's just one of those airports that just requires a little bit of extra thought. Sure. Just because it's just the vicinity, you're kind of cringed in a little bit. It's not like flying over Kansas City where you got limited options. When, you know, if you keep on going south and, you know, from Bogota, like those mountains get higher. You know, and so your MEAs for those VORs are like 21,000 feet.
Wow.
It's like well below the altitude, or well above the altitude we need to be to restart an engine or engine relight. And, you know, we don't have enough oxygen on the aircraft to fly that far unpressurized. You know, I mean, you got 15 minutes, you stretch it to 30 if that. You and I, you know, are in the cockpit. We got a considerable amount. I think it's about an hour. But in the back, you know, that's where the bread and butter's at. So
for sure.
Yeah, it's just one of those airports where just, you know, there's not that many rules, and it's really easy. But, you know, the things that are on the background that
a lot of factors.
You just have to, and then it makes it even worse too. Is that you know, so guys that fly out in LA, you know, they'll do San Diego, Las Vegas, or Oakland, Las Vegas, and then one trip they'll find themselves out to Fort Lauderdale or Miami or Orlando, to Bogota, and they haven't been out there in a year. You know? And so, you know, you have notes from the last time most guys have notes or forwarded notes. You know, the company provides us with a lot of tools to figure it out, but sometimes it's a lot easier to reading from your own notepad. You know, it's like, hey, this is what happened to me last time. I took a good record of it. And that usually helps guys out. And, you know, I did have an opportunity to fly with a brand new first officer that never been to Bogota. And, you know, I'm like, I said, hey, you know, let me take this leg down there. And then you take us back because I want you to see it. It's a lot easier for you to see it than to work it.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the next time we come back, which just happened to be the next day, then it was flopped it up and let him try it out. But
Let them try it out.
yeah, it was
That's cool, man.
one of those things,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, it's really cool. No, we actually had a question. I was trying to think of this. I should have been looking at this airport court code earlier. But I totally didn't. But we got a question from Gio. Have you ever flown to Mike Tango Papa? Not sure what the airport.
That's Port-au-Prince, Haiti.
That's what it is. Okay, there you go. There you go.
I actually had a trip to go there. It got pulled away. Yeah, I was scheduled to go there out of Fort Lauderdale, and I think that was the point in time where it had some unrest there.
Oh yeah.
But I've done it in the sim. Our arrival into there, we hook around a giant mountain and then land towards the coast. I think that's the preferred runway.
It's a cool arrival.
Yeah. I would love to fly out there. I'd love to try it out.
It's a cool arrival. All right, guys, welcome all. Those of you that just joined, we are on with newly minted Captain Rob, aka Yellow Bus. Obviously walking us through some of his trials to the left seats and for that fourth stripe. Obviously lots of cool and interesting stories and lots of things, man, that us as aviation enthusiasts don't really get to see. So I think that's all we're really here about. So I think that's really cool. So that's sort of like your upgrade and, some of the things you've been doing lately. Obviously now we have the other side of that and some of the things that we've been seeing in the news over the last couple of months or so. The fun part that can really, I'll let you tell us, but that can really impact, even now your new captain, your new captain title in the left seat. But obviously there's been talks about Frontier putting in a bid for Spirits. And then more recently here with JetBlue. I'm biased. JetBlue is my favorite airline. I think a lot of folks know that already. Being from the Northeast, I love me some JetBlue. But obviously, right, there's the aviation enthusiast side of mergers and acquisitions, and there's the public side of it, the passenger side of it. I think there's different kind of levels of appreciation for it. But obviously, for those that work for these airlines, for those that fly for these airlines, from the ground crew all the way up to the two of you folks sitting in the cockpit, especially as it relates to seniority, there are implications of mergers and acquisitions like this. So please, man, tell us what you know based on what you're observing, obviously, and based on what you are allowed to tell us, obviously, as well. But tell us what you know and how that's sort of impacting your day to day and some of your other colleagues there at the airline right now.
Yeah, that's boy, it's as almost as finding out you're going to get a brand new car, but that car is like a 92 Pinto. You know what I mean? Like you're 18 and your mom's like, "Oh, we bought you a car." You're like, "Yeah, I got a car. I had to get a Honda, right?" No, you got dads. It's like, okay, well, I mean, I got a car. We're gonna work with it, right? We're gonna work with it. Rewind. So that Monday morning, I got woken up at like 4:00 in the morning, and my buddy called me. He's like, "Hey, man, Frontier's gonna buy us." And I thought he was joking, right? Because for years, I kid you not, they've been saying, "Hey, you and Frontier, y'all need to merge. Y'all need to do something, or somebody need to buy it out, but y'all need to be together." So the going joke was, "Hey, you heard the rumor? We're merging with Frontier." And so the moment that he said that, I was like, "Dude, quit playing." I mean, it's a joke. Didn't think it was serious. Up until a point where my mind started thinking, like, maybe he's probably serious. So I got up, flipped on the computer, and listened to the investor release, and sure enough, it was real. And I thought it was a merge, but it turns out that Frontier Holdings purchased Spirit Airlines.
Acquisition, yeah.
So that threw me for a loop too, because I was like, "Dang, we got sold? Like what?" Like, this sucks. I was I was through one of the mergers. I was through the Continental and United merger.
Okay.
I worked for Continental Airlines on the ramp, so I kind of knew, hey, you know, as an employee, we don't have any say in this. This is not my company, so I don't have any say in direction of what they do. But a sense of pride,
Mhm.
that's the only thing that us employees lose is like, man, we've been doing really well. We've been fighting so hard. We've been doing this, doing that, and and it's changed. Nobody likes change, really. So, from a spirit standpoint, hearing that, it was like, man, we were doing well. We were definitely making money and outside of COVID, but eventually I knew something was going to happen. When airlines lose millions of dollars a day,
Yeah.
who's going to pick up that tab, and it's not going to look the same. So initially it was a little bit of a shock, but then we all kind of thought about it. I kind of thought about it. Said, this is probably for the better.
Sure.
It isn't like it's a whole takeover, and I don't know. It could be, but we've got a lot of orders of Airbuses. They've got a lot of orders of Airbuses. Our pilot group is very identical. Um, their
Routes.
domiciles, they're flying. I mean, everything just a beautiful marriage. I mean, it made sense. Um, the key differences with these mergers now is social media. With the Continental United merger, it was pure murder. Especially with American and TWA. I mean, I'm sorry, U.S. Airways. I mean, the Cactus guys. You'll hear from America. Cactus guys were kind of like us, laid back, chill. Like, hey, when we go to Disneyland, instead of going to work. You know what I mean? So, and so you'll see that dynamic, and it'll take them a while to squash it out, and and nobody wants that. Nobody wants two unions to be fighting over the company of, well, you should have gave us this, you should have gave that. I mean, nobody wants that. Like,
Right.
it's horrible. It makes for a horrible work environment. So social media now is allowing us to talk to each other before the merger. So currently we have chat rooms that we're able to communicate with other Frontier. Well, it was all Frontier for a while. We were talking and hey, happy go lucky. I mean, a lot of unity, a lot of, hey, look, we're all in this boat together. Let's make the best of it. Let's try to make sure we don't, get caught with our pants down, and let's make this force to be reckoned with. And positivity in the chat, man. I mean, it was great. It was like, oh well, hell, let's get this thing done, and then hopefully our union leaders and our representation makes the best deal for us representing us. And then steamroll like nothing bad out of hell, dang on JetBlue, and then it changed. And so both pilot groups we're jovial, man. I mean, we're clowns. We like to have fun. And the minute that happened, somebody posted in the Frontier Spirit chat. It was like, well, this is awkward. We get kind of blindsided by this announcement, and the strange part about the announcement was it was almost as if we had already signed the keys away. Like, hey, JetBlue, here you go.
Really?
Because that's what it felt like to me. It felt like we had already said, well, hey, we had, mom came out the door with the 92 or 87 Pinto. Well, she just upped it with the a 2020 Honda. You know what I'm saying? So it was almost as if like, oh, I'm gonna let go of that car. I'm gonna come over here because JetBlue does have it's a great product. They do a really good job of what they do.
Okay, Mike, we get it, bro. We get it.
but it isn't Spirit, you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
And so more people are a little bit excited about the JetBlue aspect of it. You know, it is very the dynamic of it happening is an interesting time because
Mm.
just like I said, because of social media, we're able to communicate with
Sure.
JetBlue employees off company time. You know, we're able
Right.
to communicate with via Facebook and all. And so hearing the bonding and hey, JetBlue guys, do you have this work rules? Or hey, Spirit guys, how's this? Or you know, oh, I wonder what our uniform's gonna look like. Which the
Those
memes have been
things
getting
Oh,
me
the
since
memes.
day
Yes.
one.
hilarious.
Like
Yes.
I've been memed out. Like I've just been dying. I have been literally rolling over, man. Just I wake up one morning, I'm like, oh my god, I gotta turn this thing off because I can't. Because this is just hilarious. The memes are just they're just on point, and you know, and it's one of those things. It's like not all business is good business, and it
Sure.
just puts all three of those airlines in everybody's mouth. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
if everybody hasn't noticed yet, we haven't heard anything from the other three at all. It's been JetBlue, Frontier, and Spirit in the media.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
what that subliminally does is the ticket sales go right up the roof. You know,
Boom,
it's
through
like,
the
oh,
roof. Yeah.
let me look at this airline. Let me look at this airline. You know, so there has been a surge in ticket sales, not just because of spring break. Spring break, everybody sees
Right.
an increase in ticket sales,
Yeah.
but there's been a larger foot traffic for some. Merger hasn't even happened yet. It hasn't been approved yet. You know, we still got to
Right.
tackle Congress. You know,
Yep.
we still
Oh,
got
yeah,
to tackle the
Congress,
unions.
All the
You know, so we're
regulatory
easily
authorities.
2 years
There's a lot to do before that happens.
before anything gets painted. But where the majority of the pilot group is inviting to it. Most of all of us knew that hey, the airlines are doing bad from post COVID. You know, trying to get the regulations and getting everybody and selling, trying to fill in the jobs. I mean, pilot shortage. There's a flight attendant shortage. There's a ramp shortage. There's a shortage everywhere. So getting the operation to function correctly, it just makes sense just to combine everything and see if we can tackle some of the hurdles that way.
Make it work.
And make it work. So we all knew that something was going to happen in this decade. No, I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought it was like a 2030 thing. You know what I mean? But it's just a sign of the times. You know, you gotta eat to survive, right? So
Yep.
I think personally, what I think is you saw the squeeze from other airlines. I think that the purchasing offer was we were getting too strong, and it was one of the adages of you can't beat them, then buy them, but not join them. So, was it $23 billion? That's a lot of money.
Yeah,
and if you're a shareholder, you're like, yeah. Like, why would you say no to money? Like, what is it? So the intent of all this is well mannered, because there's a problem. There's a problem with the airlines, and all of them. There's a staffing shortage, and pent up energy of people trying to get to where they need to get to.
For sure.
So mostly all airlines are struggling with pilots. I think Delta has been on a pretty good stronghold about getting airline staffing as well. United's doing a really good job. America's doing a really good job. Southwest and Frontier, Spirit, Allegiant, Alaska. We're kind of on the back burner of things. Just saying that you have a choice of a job now. And never in my history of aviation has there ever been a choice where you can work, where the company wants you. I'm just shocked about how the industry has turned to pilots driving the driver's seat. It has been like that in the past, but nothing to this stature. There's I mean, what a time to be a pilot. What a time. I mean, you can literally go into any of these career fairs or job functions, and you get a job right there on the spot.
Wow.
As opposed to, Johnny and I, we had to fight it.
Take what you can get, man. Hey, you just take what you can get.
I remember talking to Chuck Colgan for an interview, man. I mean, hey, Mr. Truesdale, you ready to be a part of Colgan?
Just like that, bro.
yeah, I'm ready. Well, let's see if we can get you on out here, get you an interview. And, yeah, you sound pretty good, my man. You excited? I was like, yeah, Mr. Colgan, I got 2,700 hours, and I'm a CFI still. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm excited.
Never been this ready in my life.
Yeah. That was the closest that I could ever get. I've never seen top major airlines seek actively for pilots, actively give bonuses out.
It's been
Mr.
nuts.
Colgan wasn't offering me $20,000 to fly.
Heck no, man. You were probably paying
giving
him
me money. But it's an ebb and flow. I understand. Guys are get $100,000 in debt. I had 250 hours when we got hired. 250 hours. The commercial pilot. We went in. We cheated the system. We had a commercial single engine pilot. We got hired with a multi-engine commercial type rating.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was FAA allowed us to do it. That's one of the main reasons why you got the CTP program now. They're tired of us cheating, but it's a big advantage. I mean, you got your multi-engine out of that, multi-engine turbine. So, it's I guess it's straight back to the question, man. It's a weird dynamic. I've got nothing but high hopes for it. Am I sad to see if it ever does happen? Now with the Frontier thing, I think that Spirit was the more dominant globally. Good business or bad business, everybody knew Spirit. So I think that's from a business standpoint, that would make more sense. But we had heard that it was going to be Spirit being the global name for the Frontier acquisition. It could change. You never know. It could. They got the choice to rebrand it into something brand new. So you never know. But
Delta and American could get in the mix.
Yeah. That's at this point, it would not surprise me. Nonetheless, I mean, so from like the airline management position, and I've never been in an airline management, but I pay attention pretty well, and so I would think, hey, look what you're getting. You're getting pilots, you're getting crew, you're getting slots to airports, you're getting
good equipment.
You're getting, if I don't think anybody has any fuel hedging left, but you're getting all these things from this. So what's your ROI on this? I mean, obviously Spirit makes a ton of money. You make a lot of money doing what we do. So why not take what they have, shift some things around a bit, make it ours, and it's just pure profit. You know what I mean? So, as opposed to, and then once again, from a pilot standpoint, this airline doesn't have to retrain us. You're getting Airbus certified.
All Airbus.
Right? So the average, I think, is about $40,000 to $60,000 to train
a single Airbus pilot.
Single Airbus pilot.
Wow.
Right? So you're getting 3,000 of us. So, and why wouldn't you? So
good look.
And a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm glad to see Spirit go. Well, yeah, hey, that's what it is, man. I mean, we were, and like I said, it lead me to believe that we were getting too strong. We were actually we're actually a force to be reckoned with for years. It's always been been Spirit's always been that force to be reckoned with. But now it's like getting serious. It's like, whoa, like we can't stop them anymore. Like, how do we stop them? We'll just buy them. Well, that's the age old motto for the airline industry is get in and get out. Right? You make your money and you get out because what already know there's something that's going to happen. 9/11, economic recession, COVID, like something happens consistently now that there's no stagnation. There's no level mesa, if you will, on the airline industry. Every 10 years, 15
something
years,
crazy
something
happens.
right? You're going to lose money. So you get in and you get out. And so, I understand. They say, hey, if I'm going to make $14.5 million just from selling my carrier, well,
cool.
I just made $14.5 million.
Send it.
You know what I mean? So it's no hard feelings. Am I a little sad to see it go? Yeah. I mean, I personally felt like I was making a difference. I cared. We've had a horrible time in the past, but the past airline is not the same anymore. But I'm all gung ho about transitioning over to. I think personally I prefer JetBlue before Frontier. And it's nothing against Frontier. It's nothing against them at all. Frontier is a wonderful airline. I got plenty of friends over there. But it's on the lines of, hey, which they've got a 13% greater pay increase. So take the money. Like, take the money, go.
Yeah.
I think overall JetBlue has a better product, for paying passengers. You know what I mean? The live flat seats, the live TV, the service to London. I guess to give you a numbers perspective, we carry 228 passengers on our 321.
Say
JetBlue
what?
only has
Like 150.
About 150. Yeah. So
Oh
we got a full 321, man. We're definitely
It's full.
Yeah.
Wow.
321s are usually full.
Talk about a configuration difference.
And excuse me, this light here, that is super bright. But yeah, the
Hold on, I'm sorry, I didn't even process that number. So wait, 230 something versus what, one something for JetBlue?
JetBlue's
I think
321 configurations about
Bro, that's a
150 to
Calicar fan.
150 to about 160. Yeah.
Wow.
And the strange part about all this is that we can turn that 321 into a dime. Some people get on and off the airplane, no problem. 30 minutes, lickety split. I'd be sitting in the back of Delta sometimes. I'm like, well, what's taking y'all so daggone long?
Yeah,
I'm like, we're 45 minutes into the deplaning, man. I'm like, get
that's
yourself
all
off this
of
plane.
them. Southwest and Spirit on
Yeah,
and off, like
boom.
nothing.
Man, I've seen Southwest turn a 737 faster than I've seen some companies turn a Saab. Like, just no joke. I mean, go. Yeah. I mean, the N1 blades aren't even done turning, man, and they're like pushing back and like it's gone. But in hindsight, I mean, JetBlue and Spirit, they kind of cater to a different customer. You know what I'm saying? So I can kind of see that.
Right. Right. Yeah, and I think that's we were in the process of. So we are no longer ultra low cost carrier. We are considered a low cost carrier. And the difference between that is the amenities. We're offering Wi-Fi and the service and the amount on our structure. And so, Ted Christie kind of seemed like he was taking the airline in that direction, meaning hey, we're separating ourselves from low cost to a low cost carrier. So it was only natural that we kind of thought that JetBlue is they are a low cost carrier, but they offer a little bit more than a traditional low cost.
They're creeping up though, man. I've been seeing those prices. They are creeping up.
Oh yeah.
They're teetering on that low cost threshold these days.
Right. Yeah. it just, and I think from a pilot perspective, you're like, oh man, they still serve meals. Like, Spirit doesn't serve
Sure
meals. I
do.
mean, we have
No.
snack boxes, but it's not like some of the YouTube videos you see of these people in that life at.
Ooh,
I'm
getting
like,
that JetBlue Mint service, LAX to
Okay, Mike.
JFK.
ooh,
Ooh, eat better than a Gordon Ramsay steakhouse, man. I'm
oh
telling you.
yeah, I
I'm
saw
telling
that.
you.
Yeah, my wife was like, "Oh yeah, I want to fly that." I said, "Yeah, I bet you do." Bet you do.
I mean, there's no secret, man. JetBlue service is just, it's they're hard to beat. Hard to beat.
Yeah, they like I said, they got a really good product. Frontier does the same thing that we do. I mean, I was a little upset when Frontier had 737s. They had cookies. They used to give out those I think it was Russer Stover cookies or something like that. I don't remember, but I used to be tearing them things up. They had one of them. I was like, man, cookies is good. They had ovens and they got rid of them. I'm like, all right, man, you guys suck. Like, whatever. That was holding me on my commutes home, man. Yeah, I mean, they're identical to us. So, it wasn't like we were, I guess, per se, getting anything more.
Sure.
It was just like it felt like a level playing ground for me. So when JetBlue stepped in the chat, I was like, okay, well, I guess I could see it. I could see it. It's not up to me, but then again, our CEO didn't say specifically, "Hey, we're turning this down." He was like, "Hey, we're looking at our options."
Right.
Like, that's not a no, man.
What I think is cool though, Rob, is that the dialogue is there. You're all able to actually have dialogue, with your peers on the other side versus, back in the day before social media, there was you really didn't know, it's kind of that sense of unknown.
Yeah. And that's I think that's the pivotal shift in here is the unions will talk, and upper management's not allowed to be on social media and stuff like that. So, but as a pilot group, we can kind of pick at, hey, well, we like being able to drop down to nothing a month, and we like the fact that you guys only do international flying in London, or you have domiciles here that we're not allowed to be transferred or TDY'd to another domicile over here, or JetBlue has a lot of other things. So we're able to communicate and talk that way, which I think that if the Continental and United merger had social media, I think it would have been a lot better instead of word of mouth talking. Well, we've already got the seniority integration numbers. Yep. Like we've already got a lot of that stuff, to just see it. Where we would kind of sit, what our quality of life would be and whatnot. So it's not official, but, it's something to go off of, in pre-planning because nobody likes getting news at the last minute. Cough, cough. It just it puts a damper on your quality of life if you just get slapped in the face with something you didn't expect. And, at least those guys and us are able to kind of take a quick glance on what life would be like. Obviously uniforms and look, I mean, I think the CEO for JetBlue has already come out and said, hey, look, we're running the show here. You're going to see JetBlue. Spirit will no longer be in existence, which, c'est la vie, I'm here to get paid. I mean,
I was saying Captain Rob's gonna be wearing that. Gonna be donning the blue.
Don the blue. I'll be in the blue.
Yeah. Hey, Rob, I don't mean to cut you off, bro. I wanted to get to this question, man. Bliss here from the chat. What are some thoughts on simulator area? I don't mean to pivot, but I just want to make sure our viewers are getting seen here. What are some thoughts on simulator aircrafts compared to in real world ones?
We're getting close with VR and a lot of other, the quality of Sims nowadays have it keeps amazing me every single day. Like somebody comes out, Milviz come out with I think a 310.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, they're
Cessna
having
310. Yeah.
circuit breakers. Mike and I were talking about this. Circuit breakers, you're able to pull them and see the effects and whatnot. And like, never in the history have I ever seen, for
It's
flight
nuts.
training alone. It'll never be 100% like the feel
Sure.
of an aircraft. I just learned that there's a simulator. I don't remember. I think it's a Learjet simulator where you can actually replicate G's. It's an elevator, and it moves up and down, left and right, and pitch. But
Really?
to simulate the zero G, it
Right.
actually brings you up and then shoots you down. So if you push forward on the stick, you're actually feeling the zero G.
Wow.
I just learned that. I'm like, well, how come I don't have that? That's not fair.
Yeah.
So, but
Wow.
yeah, I mean, it's really difficult to emulate an aircraft feeling 100%, but we're really close. The feeling of the FS Labs, I think, feels really good. Even explains told us they're getting better and better every single day.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
But you'll notice as soon as you sit in the cockpit and try to fly one, you're like, oh, that's different. Like that doesn't feel anything like I have. And it's not just like it's not just a shock factor, like you're actually up there. It's the feel of the airplane, like the rumble, the sound and everything. So we're not all there, but like with butt kickers and moving platforms and all that, I mean, you're close.
Getting close,
you're dang close. Dang close. Oh, another question. What's your worst weather scenario that you had to land in?
West Yellowstone, the Sierra J200.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was
200.
Yeah, that was that one sucked. I didn't like
that 1,000 yards there. Rob had 1,000 yards there.
I was just trying to remember. It's like there was a couple of ones. There was Gunnison. Gunnison was gusty. We had rotors, and that was the fun. But we got wind shear strong enough to push us to the runway. So I just remember the ITTs in the red band and 50, 40, 30, 20. Like we had had the engine firewall, and I don't remember who I was flying with, but the APR switches, you can flick those up and it'll get you some more power instantly. Right. Threw that thing up in continuous ignition, and I just remember looking down and like, okay, this wind literally just pushed us to the ground. And we're wind shear, bam, 50, 40, 30, 20, bam. And there was nothing we could do.
No, you could.
There was absolutely nothing we could do. And we landed, and thank God we were able enough to, be sane and just, retard the throttle. Like, hey, we're on the ground. We're definitely not going back in the air. We're definitely not going back in the air. But I just remember looking down at the end of the runway it was in the middle of the night. So West Yellowstone is it's no center line lighting, the runway edge lighting. I remember the sunset, man. I remember everything about that landing. That's how crazy it was. And it was like 10 gusting to 20, so we bumped up the speed. I remember it's flat 45. We got down to, I think, 500 feet, and the way the wind blows off that ridge line, man, it just rocks you off.
Yeah.
And this had to have been a long time ago, man. But I don't remember what the year that was. But I just remember having that engine, just seeing it, looking down at it, and just having it firewall the entire time. Because we're just getting pushed. There was nothing we can do, and there was no. The Sierra J doesn't have predictive wind shear, so there's nothing that'll tell us wind shear ahead. Like we just have to know instinctively. So we knew instinctively, like, hey, we're going to encounter some. But when we encountered it, it was well strong enough to not allow us to get out of it. So it was almost like a microburst, but just wind.
Oh, for sure, wind.
You know, and it
Wow.
and he just arrested the descent rate well enough to where we touched down, power idle, boards out, brakes on, you know, and
Wow.
reverses that. We're stopping, you know.
Wow.
And I just remember I think we sat on the runway for like a minute, like, and you know, and we forgot to cancel. So we get off the van, we get into the van, and offstage is like, "Hey, Denver Center is trying to give you a call," and like we don't. What do you want?
Wait, what?
And you guys on the ground? We're like, "Oh yeah, we on the ground, all right."
Good Lord, make sure of that.
You forgot to cancel. I was like, "Oh, come on, get out of here, man. We forgot." Like, but then, you know, Denver Center doesn't know. They have
Yeah, I mean, that's their job.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure you're you're safe. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's just like the way that it's set up. Like the windsock, we knew the windsock. We got so many reports of, you know, just a plus 20 knot gain. But whatever we had, it had to have been 30, 45
Well,
knots.
more than that. Yeah. Well,
Well more than what the plane was wanting to do.
Right, for sure.
So yeah, we threw in our little pie reps. Now, yeah, I wouldn't come into West Yellowstone after. That one snatches the cake there. That was it. I think that there was a couple more, but you know, that's the only one that sticks out in my head.
Really
Is
sticks out.
like, oh yeah. And then now to this day, I think West Yellowstone has better wind shear reporting and better AWOS and ASOS reporting. So
Oh yeah,
good on that.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's just a testament, Rob. I mean, you know, there's nothing more humbling than being involved in some sort of, you know, atmospheric phenomenon that you absolutely have no control over. I mean, there's sometimes, I mean, we got got caught in a couple of Virgas, and just Virgas, right? But I mean, just, you know, all you can do is look at the VSI, and it's just and there's nothing you can do. You know, just nothing you can do, and just ride it out. But you know, I also think it was a testament to that as much as I don't care for the 200, you know, how well built that aircraft is to be able to. You know, I'm sure that's a little bit of a thud when
be cracking me up when some of these dads are like, "Yeah, I'm going to build this plane." I'm like, "For what? We don't fly that thing." Like, if you actually had the opportunity to sit your butt in 100-degree summer where Bombardier decided to, in their ingenious engineering, engineers are awesome, but maybe they just constrained. They put the recirculation and the air ducting at the bottom.
Oh wow!
Cold air doesn't rise. So how is your head ever going to get cold? Like,
never.
Like you know, and you know the roof probably smells like 90-year-old funk butt. So like I don't know. I mean, yeah, it gets the job done, but I don't know. Me this year they're gonna have a love-hate relation. They did better in the 7 and the 900, but the Deuce. Ooh. Anyway.
Oh man, but yeah, it's just, you know, it's always interesting to hear, you know, and I think, and again, good on Yellowstone for implementing all those changes, you know, especially because I'm sure that's not the first occurrence, you know, and the way it's positioned, you know, they see a lot of interesting air movement around there. So, you know, I mean, you have to have some, you know, some better technologies there to help you, you know, to help you navigate all that. But yeah, you know, that was a good question, actually. I don't think we asked that last time.
The last two times we haven't asked you.
Yeah, what were we thinking, Mike? Mike, it's all your fault because you was running the last show.
There we go. Always blame.
A lot of stuff.
Great question from Bliss and Craig.
And Craig, absolutely. But yeah, no, regarding the JetBlue announcement, I mean, I think it'll work out. I think it'll work out for you guys really well.
Yeah.
I think to your point, they offer a really good product. And I mean, it's Mike's baby. I get it. And I would prefer another carrier, but anyway, we're not gonna go there. But just as far as your the pilot center flight crew, rest of flight crew's well being, I think it'll be a great move for sure.
Yeah, I think it will be too. And there's the climate that we're in. We could still get other offers. I don't know. I don't know where all these airlines are getting their money from because I'm
Right.
sure there are plenty of employees out there that are looking for a pay raise because they had to work through COVID. But nonetheless, I mean, survivability is the name of the game, and you got to do what you got to get through. So I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't another attempt. I don't believe that Frontier will try to counter this offer. If they do, then good on them.
Sure.
It's like anybody who's buying a house right now. It's the same bit. Like you getting outbid by somebody.
Yep.
So maybe Big Daddy Delta will come through and say, hey, here's 32 billion. Beat that, chumps. And just you know what I mean? Just to prove a point. So
They did it before.
Yeah, is that if that's the game and it's a good thing. I mean, I don't want to
For
make
sure.
it seem like it's a bad thing. It's always a good thing. I mean, Southwest and AirTran turned out to be a really really good thing. Um, and that's one of the main reasons why a lot of people stay at low cost carriers is because you have kind of an ace in the hole where
Mm-hmm.
you could if your goal was to make it to Delta for some reason you didn't make it there, well, if you work for a ULC or ULCC, one day you might get bought out and you
Yep.
might actually indirectly have greater seniority than what you came into if you would have got hired off the street for that carrier. So
Right.
um, it solves a lot of problems. The pilot problem is a massive problem. I think that's and we knew it. And,
It's been
don't
a
beat the
problem for
bush.
a long time.
Yeah,
Long time.
we're just
Long
finding
time.
out we don't have any pilots. Well, you should be running the airline. Just flat out.
It's like,
So that's going to be the currency, the new age currency for airlines is how can you staff that aircraft, and the low cost carriers will probably be on the top tier of that coming in the near future. And it's just nothing against the Delta
No.
American and United. They're great. They're great companies. But the ULCC market has a lot to offer and a lot of profit to give, and what that in turns is more pay raises and less stagnation. There's growth,
Sure. Sure.
aircraft orders and destinations, and work rules and whatnot. So it's just competition. Um, CEO said it is healthy competition. That's all it is. Will
That's
Will
all.
Congress pass it? Unbeknownst to a lot of other people, we've had like two other airlines start up during a pandemic.
yeah,
So you had
sure.
Yeah.
Breeze,
Yeah. Breeze.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
you had
What's it?
Avelo,
Avelo,
The
yeah.
Velo. Yep.
Avelo, and then I think Evergreen or somebody else was trying to start up too as well. I don't know where they're at, but the ULCC market is almost saturated, almost too saturated now. So the counterpart to Congress, in my opinion, I'm like, what do you guys mean that you don't like this? Like, it's okay for American Delta and United to stay the way they are, and nobody else can join the
Right.
ranks. I mean, where are we at with this? So, I understand both aspects, but I just don't think that there's too much. The previous merger, it was stock acquisitions. This is actually money and stocks.
Right.
So, yeah, the FCC might not like it, but hey, it's capitalism. I mean, here
Yeah.
we go. So, will they get approved? I think they will. Will the integration happen? Yeah, it'll happen. Um, but only time will tell. I mean, I think that Congress doesn't have enough ammo to help the bleeding stop. They have all the airlines have every case in the world. They've lost billions of dollars. You know, they just staffing. There's nobody's losing their jobs. Just it's a win-win in the record book. So, and then stand for pay increases. Pay increases have to come with that. So I'm sure they've formulated a plan. If not, they better start. But it's a good deal. I think all around for this round. If Delta or United or American steps in, I don't have as great as a thought with a good deal saying that. I think it's pretty one sided. You know what I mean?
Right.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm excited. I think with the majority of the entire groups, both groups appear to be excited. There's a couple ones in there like, no, we don't need you. We're good.
There's always one, Rob. There's always one.
Yeah, I mean, it's to each their own. But from a pilot standpoint, it's good. For the first time, a merger is actually kind of good. Pilots are in the driver's seat. We stand to negotiate with the company for better wages, better quality of life, better treatment. So it's good all around.
Absolutely.
So time will tell.
Oh yeah. Well, pivoting on that, Rob, I've got another question from Bliss here. What is the best way to become a commercial pilot, Air Force or ATP, etc.?
Boy, that's a rough one. Quite honest with you, the best way to become one is do it as cheap as possible. Forking out $100,000 to become an airline pilot, I think is a little over the top. But
for sure,
if they, Air Force is a fantastic way to get in. The military, it has the exact same problem that the airlines do, is they're losing pilots left and right. In the future, will they have much of a problem? I don't know. I'm not as much as in the inner circle of military. I only see what all of my buddies say, but last time I talked to them, some of them were stop loss, meaning they can't get out.
They can't get out, yeah,
because they needed to staff certain type of aircraft. So the couple guys that I know that are in the process of getting out, well, they're getting out. They're getting out, but it's not on a wide basis from what I gather. But the time for you to actually make it as an airline pilot is a little longer in the military. You have another commitment to fulfill. Suppose if you do it, on the street, you fork out the money for the loan. Well, you're looking at 2, maybe 3 years, if that.
Boom. Especially now.
Especially now, even less than that. So
yeah, less than that. ATP, they're trying to get you there in 7 months.
Yeah.
Dude, I've seen them recently advertising that. Now, again, right?
Right.
What I'll tell you is read the fine prints, right? It's going to be dependent on, your pace and your capabilities and whatnot. But they've got programs now structured to get you from zero to hero in 7 months, man. And direct to, I think they just actually, ATP has a partnership with Frontier. Zero to hero, direct 320 first officer. So it's out there, man. Yes, sir.
Oh, for sure.
It is
for
out
sure.
there.
As long as you come with the coin. The next question here for Greenlight Auto Brokers: what airlines would you recommend to start at for a low time pilot with, let's say, a commercial multi?
Well, you have a choice now. You have a choice between PSA, Envoy, SkyWest, Republic, you have a choice. And when I got hired, I didn't have a choice. I got turned down from American Eagle, and still to this day, I have no reason why. I don't know why. Did everything according to them, did everything right, but you still got turned down. Weird. That's how they were doing it back in the day. They weren't all authorized to tell you why you weren't a good candidate, even though we got all sorts of rules on equal opportunity employment. But that's neither here nor there. But
Yeah.
you have a great choice, a fantastic choice. The regional market, we have lifers at the regional market, people who choose to stay there, be a choice or non-choice. There's things that happen in life that you just can't leave. But I would definitely take the time out to fully do a little bit of research. If I handed you $1 million and said, "Hey, buy any car," and the first thing that comes out of your mouth is Bugatti, I'd say, "Why? You got $1 million to buy any car? Let's see what other cars are out there to drive around at that $1 million price range. What if your car turns into an airplane at $1 million, but you went and kind of ran into got into that Bugatti really quick, and you're like, oh man, I could have had a plane that turned into a car, at $750,000, so that's kind of where that thought process comes from, and I think that's kind of one of the better ways to do it is to start to show up to some of these recruiting events that they have. I just recently went to Sun and Fun yesterday, and that was fun. But they had career fairs there. Get a little more detail as far as quality of life and what my life is going to be like. How do I get to reserve? Are they going to require me to live here or do these things? Like you have the option to ask a lot of these airlines a question nowadays because they're coming for you, as opposed to the other way around where you had to hunt for them questions. You know what I mean? So there isn't a good airline. None of the airlines are dressed up in pink. So it's what's working best for you in your time. And then if you're willing to think in the future, like, hey, is this airline going to sustain me 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now? And you have that choice now. So definitely, I worked for SkyWest for a very long time, and it was great. It was great to the end, but it was great. I worked for Great Lakes Airlines, and that was fun. It was great to the end, So, you have like I said, I just can't echo that enough. Is you have a choice. Start doing a little bit more research other than what the internet is telling you, and talk to some actual current pilots there about, hey, I need to make sure that if I do sign one of those silly commitments that they want you to sign, is it going to be the best for me and possibly my family at that point in time? And I just can't tell you, hey, SkyWest is great. Like you could be living in, Sacramento or something like that. And, Horizon might be, or actually, I don't think, is Horizon still in Maryland? Even if they are, I could have swore I saw something on the news about them, but I'm sure they are. But if Horizon was a good choice,
they're Qs.
Right.
Yeah, they just went to all Embraers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's what that was.
Mm-hmm. But I hope that answered your question. Airlines are, lack of better terms, almost all a dime a dozen, but it's what you would like to see out of it is you have the choice now. And so, back in the day, it used to be, hey, go to American Eagle, man. They had it. You got a flow through program with American. You got American Minis. They got 401k matching. Man, they got good health care. Oh man, your lines are great, man. Nah, you don't want to go SkyWest, man. They're not union. Nah, man, you don't want to go over there, man. You want to come to the bread and butter. Well, SkyWest is still here. American Eagle is not.
Mm-hmm.
So
there you go.
that's just one of those. It's just one of those things. It's just the more informed decision that you can make, the easier the decision becomes.
There you go. There you go. I mean, that's a real good point you made, Rob. And I'll tell you, just from firsthand experience with the military, just be careful with that. Make sure that's something what you want to do, because not only are you making a commitment to yourself, but you're also making a commitment to the U.S. government. Hey, I'm willing to here in the service for X amount of years, and there could be some sort of campaign or something like that. My 6 years turned into 10. So just be mindful, be very mindful. When they're great. I'm not knocking them. As a veteran, love them to death. But just make sure that's something. Make sure you actually want to join the armed forces. Don't join the armed forces, thinking, hey, I'm gonna get somewhere after that. Join the armed forces because that's something you actually want to do. Because I hear it all the time. It's like, I'll join the Army or the Air Forces. I want it to be X, Y, or Z. But once you sign that dotted line, I mean, you still have to pass, the advanced training course or whatever schooling it is, and you may not be guaranteed you're going to be whatever your recruiter told you you're going to be. So, just keep that in the back of your mind. And yeah, I think it's an awesome time to be a pilot right now. I mean, man, I wanted to fly freight. That's what I wanted to do. And when I tell you AirNet, I'll never forget this. I submitted my application to AirNet. The next day, AirNet sent me rejection. The next day. I don't even think they took the time to even look at it. It was like, whatever,
Yeah.
but because I didn't even think to even try like a major, because I knew that there was just no way, brand new high school, there's no way I was going to get a slot. There's just no way, and even a lot of the old heads, at the time, they were like, John, just don't even worry about it if you're going to do it, do regional and, just beg somebody for a seat in something. Doesn't matter what it was. I mean, it could be a refrigerator with air wings, fly it till you get your hours. And, that's just what you did. But now I'm on Facebook, and no joke. Even my wife, she was browsing Facebook, and there's no joke recruiting advertisements for airlines. And they're really, and my wife, she was looking at it. She was like, am I going back? I'm like, no, probably not, but,
Come on, mate. Come on,
and, but it's just amazing. I'm sure they do. But it's just, it's a great, I mean, I'm talking about crazy bonuses, Rob. I mean, y'all are handing out some money to get folks, right? To get folks. So, like Rob said, get in for as cheapest as you can get in, and have your pick. So, but no, that was a good question. Very, very good question.
Indeed.
Let's see here. Make sure I didn't miss anything. How do we get? Okay, so I'm catching up with the chat, guys. My bad. So food. So we were talking about food. What food in Atlanta, Charlie?
I think it's because Rob said he could be flying with Delta, and Charlie was like, "Well, I know some great food spots in Atlanta." And,
man, speaking of which, Biscoff cookies from Delta, man, for the win. I'm sorry.
I got some.
I haven't flown Delta in so long.
Come on now, come on. Hey, man, hey, I'm gonna have to catch you in the background, Rob. I'm gonna need some of those, man.
I started dipping them in Nutella.
And yes, that's what you do, bro. Oh.
Yeah. I was like, whoa, that turned up.
Man, changes the game.
You guys making
bro.
me hungry. Gosh.
Changes the game, man. Yeah. Hey.
High Performance says I gained 10 pounds anytime I visit ATL. That's true, man.
Yeah, Atlanta does have some spots, man. Memphis used to get me in trouble. They used to get me in trouble. Trying to make sure I didn't miss any questions there. Let's see here. If I do take the military route, I will try to sign a contract 6 years. I don't know. I got you. Yeah, just make sure, just do your due diligence. To Rob's point, and if you get a recruiter, make sure you got a good one. If you do take the military route, because retention is low, and folks are doing what they got to do to get those numbers up. So, just keeping that in mind. But no, Rob, Sun and Fun, because I remember you shot me a message about that, man, because I was kind of wondering. So how was it? Was there a lot of was there any companies that stuck out to you as far as exhibit wise, or?
Yeah, I mean, I have boy, I tell you what, I've been to a couple air shows, and even in the Houston Air Show, like I've known the Sun and Fun to have more, I guess, better air shows.
Sure,
but the amount of airplanes, you almost have aviation overload. Like,
Yeah, it's insane.
Oh,
too
what
much.
is that? C-17 over there. You're looking around, you're like, geez, man, there's a lot of airplanes like in one spot, and there's so much activity going on. There's so many people. But it was a blast, man. The guys that I went with, it was fun to link up and pilots get together, and I would have to assume like 90% of everybody there was a pilot.
Oh, sure. I mean, you're not going to hear
least.
at least
thousands of people, all pilots. If you wanted to see how many pilots or what they talk about all in one spot, that was the time to go. Is just to see what type of conversations they have, because every other conversation you hear at the back of your head is like, oh yeah, we took the ILS and the guy. It was like, that guy's a pilot. It was like, oh yeah, I took the Gulfstream. It was like, that guy's a pilot. It's like it just like a beehive. Just all these pilots all in one spot. So, but it was really fun. I spent the better half. I went 2 days. I went Friday and Saturday. And I didn't fly, I drove. So, the guys that went in there, one guy had flown, the other guy was there for on business. And, we just had we had a really, really good time, man. I mean, the air shows were good. I had my infant with me. She's 1 year old. So she liked the airplanes. She didn't like the Thunderbirds. Right now,
Too loud.
and it was the weirdest thing. Is like, so we got on property, right? We were chilling, and A10 was doing his demo, and I'm like, yeah, that's a lot louder than DCS. Holy cow! So it was doing its thing, man. It's doing it. She was, oh yeah, everybody, she was looking around. She said, cool. Then the F-18E was doing a demo one day, and we just walked up, and it was doing its thing, and I'm like, man, that thing is really quiet. I didn't realize how quiet it was. And then the freaking F-16 comes over, and it just, every time, bam, just fast as I don't know what. When they put their afterburners on, it shakes the earth, and she didn't like that at all. And I'm like, I understand why. That engine definitely does not feel comfortable. And when they, pass over the top of you, I've seen the Blue Angels aren't, I guess, as bad. Maybe it's just me. Maybe they're just, the same. But for some odd reason, I feel like that the F-16 is louder than the F-18 because you can feel the whole thing the entire time. Even when they're far away, it's like, so noise abatement. Nah, we don't do that here. So the exhibits were nice. For a long time, I've been eyeing on aircraft purchases, and I had to give you guys commitment. I mean, Big Earn was on the channel the other day. I'm like, man, I gotta follow what that guy's doing. That's how I want to be, So I went to the Sears booth. Kind of had the wife sit in the Sears a little bit, and they didn't allow us to sit in it, but just to entertain the thought and see if we can make that a family member. And our mission is a little bit different than everybody else's mission. I got to cross a large body of water, so. Single engine and a piston, and not going to give me more warm and fuzzies going that far over water. So
yeah.
So I mean, but it was a blast. Next year, we're all planning on going again, and then I've never been to Oshkosh, but they say it's Sun and Fun on steroids.
10. Oh yeah.
I heard it was times 10, man. We've been it's been on the books, but
we're definitely we'll be at. Both. Yeah. I plan on being both next year. Closed Traffic Podcast will definitely be at Sun and Fun next year for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, man. Oh yeah, definitely be we're gonna do it differently. We learned what to do and what not to do, especially flying in there. I couldn't imagine.
Oh my Lord,
like
man!
that
I would
was
have to
crazy.
I'll fly in, probably rent a car and drive in or something like that. Or that's the
Yeah.
thing with Oshkosh, man.
Oshkosh is even worse, man. You guys
I
watch those
know.
VFR arrivals?
Yeah,
My
bro.
goodness.
I know it's an achievement flying in the ash. Nah, bro, I'm good, man. Let me go ahead and catch
You get
that to
that
the
badge of
nearest.
honor, man.
Yeah, but let me catch that little commercial flight to the nearest major airport, and I'll just take my little enterprise car in, call it slick, man. I just
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, it was a good experience. Anybody who's an aviation nerd like I am, and most of all of us are, that's the spot to be. That's the Grammys of aviation. That's the Super Bowl. I mean, those two
the
events.
Oscars.
The Oscars of the Hashtag Meme City.
Too soon.
Oh man!
I was expecting like a 10-year wait after that. They always like to kick you when you're down.
They always got to kick you when you're down, bro. The memes. Anywho, man, it's almost like especially like with the JetBlue deal. If you got good memes, Rob, I think y'all will be all right, man. As long as the memes are good.
The memes will flow. The memes always mean money. Somebody's getting paid.
Somebody's getting paid.
Somebody's getting paid. Yeah, no, it was a good time. So hopefully next year we'll all be able to link up and get together and
cool.
Do it all properly this time. So it was nice. I enjoyed myself. Family enjoyed themselves. And everybody that came out was cool. And unbeknownst, there was like a lot of other people that I knew that were in the circle that were there.
No
too.
way.
We couldn't
link
mesh up.
Yeah.
No, is there a way? And like, and I was like, man, all these people had go-karts. I'm like, man, where you guys getting all these go-karts from?
Yeah.
And at the end of the show,
Reynolds?
I realized quickly that we needed a go-kart. Because the amount of walking that you do from the short takeoff and landing competition to the others, it was just like, scooter, we're not playing that game next time. I'm not walking halfway across the United States to see some planes that I wanted to see, So, went up, touched the Apache. That was a highlight of the day for me. Tested Apache, test the Hornet. We all messed around in the F-16, and that was I'm a big DCS fan, so in order for me to do that was like, and then my wife was like, "Is that the plane to be flying around in VR?" I said, "Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm doing there. Like, that's me." So yeah, it was a good show. The nighttime show, we did the nighttime show, so that was really cool to see the drones do their
I saw that.
Oh
yeah, man, that was
why didn't you tell me about that, man? I would have went. My slide.
Okay.
No, I was kidding, y'all. I was stuck trying to find some internet, man. I couldn't. I wanted to, but I couldn't. But no, that was pretty cool. No, that's pretty cool. Oh yeah,
it was nice, and the pyrotechnics at the end. It was really weird because we were all watching it, and the pyrotechnics that they use for like when the A-10 comes in and does a gun run, those giant fireballs.
Yeah.
They led with that, and then it was a pause. And so we're all sitting there thinking, was that supposed to happen? Because that was a big fireball. And then a couple of them started coming up, pop, 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 pop. And then it went like into its normal cadence, fireworks. Then these dudes were like, oh, watch this. And they set off this giant fireball. Like this thing that was so hot. We were far away. I had to say at least a half a mile away. It was almost as just like, hey, well, we're not going to take this back. We might as well just blow it up. And they took everything, it just boom, and the percussion wave, it rattled the awning. It woke up the baby. Like the heat coming from this thing. And and they did this after the grand finale. So like, oh yeah, they're done. Yeah, okay. So we turn around and then. Bam! It was like,
wow.
My goodness, was that supposed to the beginning? Now y'all just being intentional. Now y'all being crazy. It was good. It was a good time, good event.
Wow.
I think doing the whole week, you really have to pre-plan, and
For
get a
sure.
trailer and if you're gonna fly in. I mean, it was raining day 1 or day 2, whatever, and they had thunderstorms out here, and I couldn't
Florida.
imagine
That's Florida.
trying to
man.
camp in underneath your airplane in a puddle of water. It just
Nah,
doesn't make for a good time.
Hmm.
So
Mm-mm.
yeah, it was nice.
No, that's
Good
cool.
time.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to make plans to
Yeah, for sure.
get down there for sure. Yeah, especially with all the pyrotechnics. We all love blowing stuff up, right?
Mhm.
But no, Rob, man, it's an awesome time every time we have you on, and
Yeah,
I
man,
know
we're 2 hours in.
2 hours in, bro. I just looked out the corner
I
of
can
my
keep
eye.
going. I can
I have a
keep
good
going,
eye,
man.
and that's great, and that's and I've been wanting to get you back, get you back on forever, and I had to move and all that fun stuff, but
Okay.
again, yeah, I moved out in the country, Rob. We're in the country, man.
Oh, that's yeah,
That's
right.
why he's got no internet.
Yeah,
No internet, man. Shout out to Elon. Quick
Yeah.
shout out. But yeah, no, we ended up picking up Starlink, so it's much better now. So
Yeah.
and but yeah, we'll definitely have to link up soon. But man, brother, any final thoughts? Any new happenings going on that we missed?
No, I
Oh,
mean,
hold on, brother. Before we get into it, sorry, Mike. Before we get into it, so I'm a DCS nerd, right? All right,
yeah.
A64. Did you pick it up?
Oh, yeah, I'm flying that thing like it's going out of water.
Oh man, just oh, what do you think about it, man? Is it if you are you? It's been pretty rough for me.
It's you. I understand why people have problems. DCS has done something inherently to the market, and I believe they have forced you to buy these expensive controllers. If you have this X52, these
won't work.
Cut it for DCS.
Ain't gonna cut it. No.
Oh, the X52 won't work?
Forget about it.
It'll work, but you'll be top gunning it.
Wow.
You'll be all over the place. And then you'll have your curves and your sensitivity all throughout the yin yang. It's just
jacked up.
So like they have inherently forced these other peripherals to become massive, and that's good. I mean, I guess we'd rather have a quality aircraft for simulation than something that's just put together halfly wrong.
Exactly.
To go to Sun and Fun and see the Apache and to see, man, they have got it 100% down. Like every button, every texture, every depth, everything, they got it down.
High fidelity.
Sure.
It is for the first time to have an aircraft that we can fly together in and do so much. I think it's one of the first planes that we can do that. Now the F-14 is a little bit different because you can't control the thing. You can't control the back seat. This is the first time that both of us can do.
You can hand control
different things. Yeah, and and I just think that it's
wow,
a revolutionary thing for simulation to begin with.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I like it, and I was never a helicopter fan. I don't like helicopters, but I like that one.
Great bike.
I've tried, man. They just I tried to like them. They don't like me.
No, it's a different, and I think to me, Rob, it really allows one to appreciate the the craftsmanship that it takes to operate these machines, and even we had our main man from Hype Simulations we were talking about their release, and getting a helicopter from point A to point B is one thing, but flying a helicopter and fighting with it
Mhm.
Totally different animal. Totally different. And that's where I'm stuck at. I can fly it. I can, take off, do my thing. But trying to operate the weapon systems
Get it to hover
um
and all that. Yeah.
and they don't even have them all in yet. And
No,
it's just mind blown.
I honestly
Mind
think
blown.
that they might have done that on purpose
I
for
think they
like the
did
law of
too.
primacy. Like, hey, you actually
Oh,
got
for
to
sure.
fly this thing instead of turning on the autopilot. Which is a good thing. I granted, I guess it's really complex. But I have a good feeling there. Like, yeah, you need to learn the basics first to
Right.
get it,
Right.
rolling.
Right.
That's fun bird, man. Fun
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For
stuff.
sure. For sure. Yeah, that's the thing, and going back over to the peripherals, and I fought like midair in-flight refueling for like the F-18 or like the F-14 is almost impossible with like a lower grade joystick because the minute controls and minute control inputs that you need to make to actually get into the basket, is you really need to have a high performance. Like I bought, and mine's not even nowhere near what Mike has, but little T1000, and even that was just 10 times better. I think I had some old Logitech joystick, some crazy job, but yeah, I've been looking at Whirlpool and Wind Wing, but man, it's like everything's on freaking back order, and it's like PS5s, you can't get them.
Yeah, you
You
can't get.
know,
Still
Yeah,
struggling with
yeah.
that stuff.
still struggling, bro. Still
Everybody's
struggling.
still a nightmare to even and there they keep on releasing new products and then you can't do anything. New
Can't do
simware starts to come out, you can't do anything. It's like, man, it's
anything.
horrible.
It's horrible,
It's horrible.
but part of my segue from DCS had to do it. But again, Rob, did you have any parting comments for the folks out
Yeah,
there?
it's gonna be a good next couple of years. Anybody who's in aviation now's the time to do it. And,
Indeed.
pull the trigger and get stuff done. Airlines need you. Um, you know, captain standpoint, man, it's I've slotted in pretty nice. It's back to my old habits and being as meticulous as possible. In fact, I've got four flight up. I've started to. I've never been into four flight, but as of recently, I've been having four flight on the same page as my flight. So I track, the log and see everything with four flight. Then I have my Jefferson charts, segue to help out with, performance and, keeping track of things and whatnot. So I'm starting to dig in four flight more often. I haven't been a four flight advocate, but, I see why it's a growing thing.
That's
They give us
awesome, man.
Jefferson. So we don't need, now I don't use the charts for four flight. I use Jefferson charts. But the tools and stuff, like I've built profiles for the Airbus. So for the Neo, the 19, the 20, and the 21, I have
Mhm.
different cruise, climb, and descent profiles for them. So they're pretty accurate. So all I got to do is just plug in, and before
Boom.
the company gives me a release, I already know how much minimum fuel that I feel comfortable leaving with.
Too
I
cool.
plug in the performance, so I know, hey, I should see 18,000 pounds. If I don't see that, then that lets me know. So it just kind of alleviates the
Right.
the small things that I have to really pay attention to. It
Pay
helps
attention
me
to.
kind of divide that, like that. Routing, I can see, weather routing and whatnot a little bit more real time than Jefferson has.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So which that was another disaster story just recently. Like, man,
Oh no.
I had, you don't even want to know.
You don't know.
That was just a woo. Like that was a like every so often, like the aviation gurus will give you like a nugget, like a test of your patience and skill and whatnot. And that recent one was like, like I and bite my tongue. Like like I've been telling some people, I said, man, yeah, the masks, they sometimes get a little annoying, but they're there for a reason. But I might be a little upset that masks are going away because it helps me hide my facial expression sometimes. You know, like you really want to see what I'm. You really don't want to see what I'm thinking on my face right now, but that's a personality thing. You know, that's not anything that's anybody does. But what was it? The 31st. The 31st. I was flying with it was an experienced first officer. He was, a couple years, came from Piedmont or something like that. Had time. Not new to the Airbus. So that's typically what ends up happening with an airline is, a smaller airline. You fly with a lot of new people, and that front that you guys got, it started from the West Coast. It strengthened when it got over, the Midwest, and then by the time it hit Florida, the East Coast. The East Coast sector is so saturated. We get planes running north and south all day,
all the time, all day long, yeah.
And Florida is one of those states where it doesn't do really well with thunderstorms, and that line went all the way from the center of the Gulf all the way up to New Hampshire.
Yep.
And it was one of those lines where you just can't go over.
Can't go over.
This one was 50,000 feet. Just
gotta
go around it.
Gotta go around it. Yeah.
So we get into Newark the night before. I was in Newark. I had to do Newark to Miami. I think we're doing Miami something else. That got pulled off. But I'm sitting in downtown Newark, and I'm not paying attention to the weather. I knew it's there, but I'm like, I'll just check it in the morning. Right? Wake up, 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock in the hotel. Look at the weather. And I'm looking at this front. I'm like, oh, it's going to be a disaster. I already know. So, we get into the van. It's about a 20-minute drive from the hotel to the airport. And FO goes, hey man, you see that weather? I said, yeah, it's going to be a cluster. I'm already calling it. And he's like, really? He's like, I've never seen. I don't think it's going to be that bad. I said, trust me.
Too bad.
Like I already know. It's just Jacksonville Center. We can't go everywhere.
Right.
Certain planes can't go off the coastline more than 50, and then certain planes are altitude restricted. They're all trying to come in, and Jacksonville Center is like the worst place to have weather going. And then and then they've got staffing issues too. But when Jacksonville Center and Miami Center have bad weather, the whole entire United States feels it.
Oh yeah,
the entire country.
Oh yeah,
like it just, and I don't know. I don't have a solution for it. Like I don't have a hey, you should do this because it's going to help.
Right?
There's not much you can do.
You can do just pack on a lot of gas.
We even see it on the thing. Like you're doing your VFR flight planning, and you scroll down to. I forgot what section it is on there, but it'll show you flow control. Jacksonville is always on there.
Always on there.
Never fails. Always on there.
So I call it in the van. We're not even at the airport yet. I'm like, we're probably gonna have to add like 5,000 pounds of gas. No problem.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right. So we get there, and the front intensifies. It had some gaps, but intensified. And the dispatcher will file us through that. And I said, hey man, all right. And so that was the leg I closed the door on because there was so much going on that I'm like, I'm gonna have to tune you guys out because I need to figure out how it's gonna be safe for us to get there. There wasn't a way around. So we would have had to go all the way out to the Waters route, which is like 500 miles off the coastline, to get around that to come back to the south. And by the time we came back to the south, it was already where we needed to be. So it was like, how are we going to get there? So after talking to the dispatcher and all this other stuff, we left late, and I explained that to everybody and said, hey, we didn't really figure out how to safely get you guys there. But, that was like the start of it. And so we contacted ATC. We're in Newark. And I said, I told Gas Fund, I said, hey, call Tracon real quick, see if they have an edict program, see if they have a flow program going right now. He said, no. I said, okay, So we'll start up 2 engines. We'll taxi the runway because by the time we get out there, we know normally I plan on us going a single engine out there. So by the time we get out there, something was going to change. It was cresting 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 a.m. You know, that's time for the sun to wake up.
Right.
So we launch, get in the air. We get to, I think, Charlotte, North Carolina ish. And it was like, yeah, what was that? I can see the flight number. Let's see. Yeah, it was Spirit Airlines 3120. Hey, what's your slowest practical?
Oh man, no.
I looked down, man. I'm like, we got like 700 miles to go. I'm like,
no.
So I was like, all right, Rob, man up. You knew this was going to happen, right? So, we dialed it back to costing 0. Right? I already know. So, we're figuring it out. Message company. We're like, hey, is there a wall? Like, is there a way around the wall? How far west can we go?
Right.
I don't want to go far east. Is this, how much further east do we have to go?
Right.
And if something happens, I don't want to go to what's it called? Bermuda. I want to go out there. I want to land there. So we're talking Traycon. We're trying to see if there's a route people are getting through, and there's like, yeah, there's a hole, and that's another red flag for me. It's like, how big is that hole? Like, like you try to shin us through this closing hole, and the winds are already the front. The front is cuffed, right, and so the winds are already pushing that front. So we're in the winds that are pushing the front. So 38,000 feet, 37,000 feet. It was like 110 at 111 knots. So I know there's got to be a point where that stops. So I'm like, I got to find a point where that stops, right? And it's building. It's an AM. So the thunderstorms are getting taller and taller and taller. And those holes are closing. So we're getting, I think we're south of the Carolinas now. We're Beam Myrtle Beach, right? And I'm digging the numbers. FO's digging the numbers. I'm like, hey, I need a bingo. I need an alternate because we didn't have an alternate. There was no need for an alternate going to Miami. Right? We just had a butt ton of gas. I said, hey, I need an alternate. I need a route. And so we started running some numbers. I said, hey, give me 100, 150 miles west. I'll go 150 miles east, right, to see how far we can go and figure out how much gas we need to get to Miami and if anything else goes awry. So I said, hey, 30 minutes plus our route. So he found a route eastbound. I found a route westbound plus 30 minutes of gas. We came up with a bingo number from there, right? At that point in time, our flight attendant calls back and says, hey, we got an emergency of passengers.
Wow.
At that point in time, ATC Traycon says, hey, 3120, we got holding instructions for you. I'm sitting here. I'm like, all right, so tell the guy flying, I was like, hey man, you got control, figure out the whole W in the back. So he's flying and immediately, like I think I task accelerated him, and that's like one of those things we try really hard not to do. Like immediately, as soon as I told him, I said, hey, here's what's gonna happen. You need to fly, you need to hold us and look for an alternate before we cross that line. And he's new to the aircraft. And I gave him all that. And immediately when it came out of my mouth, I looked at him.
Hold on.
It was like I asked him to get rocket commands to the Mars or something. And he was like, but I gave him props and I said, hey, you didn't tell me no, So, but I needed to figure out what's going on with that lady in the back, right? So, she was a nurse, she just was having high blood pressure problems, and so, I was talking to the flight attendant, trying to get her to give me more information so I can make a decision. Well, I have to call MedLink. So, MedLink is a service that all airlines have. It's basically medical aviation doctors. We can help coach us through whether or not we need to make a choice to go to an alternate, get the passenger on the ground, or it's professional help, right, in flight. And so lady was a nurse, and our flight attendants do a bang up job, man. They already know. So they gave her orange juice, to help her, wake up a little bit and try to get her to eat and whatnot. Well, I said, I'll start a clock, and every time something like that happens, I write it down. So it's a good thing about the Airbus, it has a tray.
Right.
So
Trade.
I'm sitting down here writing down notes, and
Look at Mike.
Airbus Mike.
For the win. For the win.
So I timestamp it all. And the Boeing guys, they use the maintenance logbook, and they have to write on the logbook. They got.
Man, everybody got time for that.
But I'm just saying, I start the time, I write down the time, I say, hey, I remember it's like 12:35 Zulu. I'm like, okay, so I got a call from the flight attendant, this, and this. Right immediately, I go down, start text messaging the company and say, hey, we're having this issue right now. Additionally, we're holding. Additionally, we can't make it to Miami. Help. Wow. So, in my head, I'm like, all right, well, I know we're not going to be able to get to Miami at this point. We're a B Myrtle. I look down at my MFD. I'm looking down at the FO, and he's trying to figure out how to get us to the hold still. And I tell the flight attendant, I said, hey, is she still breathing? She said, yeah. I said, call me back in 10 minutes. Bye. Click. So I had to trust her to do her job. They call me back if something was going really bad. Mm-hmm. So I roll over to the back of the FO. I said, hey, where we at, brother? He's like, yeah, man, I'm trying to plug in this hold. I said, I got you, man. Here's what you do. You flip through this here. Here's,
hey, man, and I had to tell that FO to jump on some FS Labs.
Hey, man, go to that Labs, bro.
That's where the sin comes in handy, man, because these situations like this, you can't practice for it. I mean, you can at home, but
sure,
you got to rely on your past knowledge quickly. Mm-hmm. So, he's plugging it in. I said, hey, how we bingo fuel? He's like, man, I couldn't figure out how to calculate bingo fuel. I said, oh, it's cool, man. We're doing this burn, right? You take your alternate fuel and then you reserve, you add that up, So he came in with a bingo about 8,000 pounds. I said, all right, so here's what's happening. I coach him on what was happening in the back. I said, tell you what, man, let's try to find numbers for Myrtle Beach. So I looked down at my MFD. I said, Myrtle's right there. That's this is Spirit City. So, we'll land at Myrtle, wait for the storm to pass, figure it all out, go from there, right? And that was just a preemptive plan. That was just like me just saying out loud, hey, here's probably what's going to happen, right?
Right.
So we get in the hold. We get barely established in the hold. He's about to call, hey, we're establishing the hold, right? Flight attendant called back. I'm like, all right. And it's like, has it already been 10 minutes? Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, cool. I thought it was 10 minutes. I said, hey, man, you got controls. I got to take this back, right? So, he's flying. It's good to go. And, and right before I said, hey, make sure just go get some landing data for Myrtle Beach just in case. Because I'm thinking in my head, if she calls back and she's worse, probably going to end up in Myrtle anyway. Yeah. Right? So just get the ball rolling. So he's getting ATIS and all that stuff, running landing missing numbers. And I look down, and all this is happening all at the same time, turning into the hold, ATC, we're listening to ATC, and all this is happening at the same time. I look down at the landing numbers, and I'm like, shit, it's 145,500 pound max landing weight, and the 145,505 is a max landing weight in the 320, and we're at 148. And we're at 35,000 feet in a hold, which is very rare to have a high altitude hold that fast. It was very rare. So we had, and in the sim, we do holds at 7,000. So it took him a little while to realize that, hey, we're going fast. Normally we slow down to green dot plus 20. I had him green dot plus 15. I said, no, don't slow down that slow. When you get in the turn, the airplane will throttle up and, just say, hey, we just want a constant throttle all the way around the turn so we can manage our fuel burn, right? Mm-hmm. So, I had him up really high, maybe while I'm in the back, right? She's like, yeah, she's not doing too well. She just threw up a little bit. And I said, okay, well, you know what? Company hasn't gotten a hold of us because Spirit Airlines flies north and south. All our flights go north and south, most of all. good presenters would go to the West Coast, but so our dispatchers are having their hands full. I talked to our dispatcher on the phone before we left. I said, "Hey man, I see this coming. Like we're gonna have a bad day, right?"
Mhm.
He's like, "Yeah, no." So so we put extra gas, whatever. So he wasn't responding back to me, so I have to call MedLink now. So I told the provider, I said, "Hey, all right, give me another 10 minutes." And I said, "Hey, by the way, we're in a hold. We're going to keep pushing to Miami, but it's not looking too good right now." She's like, "Really?" It's like, "Yeah, we're in a hold. You didn't realize we turned around?" She's like, "No." I was like, "Yeah." The sun now is on the other side of the cabin.
She's like, heads down.
The heads down, bro.
She said, "What's going to happen?" I said, "I don't know, but we got gas right now, so we call you back." So, doing it back right. Back on, I got to call MedLink now. So I told him, I said, "Hey, I got to call official, right? I got to make sure that the person not going to die on us." So get on MedLink, and we have to use the HF radio, and so
MedLink.
we have to. Sometimes we have to use the HF radio. I used COM3 just to help things alleviate, because COM1 is primary, COM2 is guard, and I needed guard because I'm listening to ATC while all this is happening. So if I hear 3120, I know he's not catching it because he's still trying to thumb through it.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get a hold of MedLink, and I called New York Radio and I said, "Hey, this is 3120. We got a medical problem. Can you patch us through to MedLink?" Patch us through. Takes about 30 minutes to hear from MedLink. Damn. They did not pick up because everybody and their mom had a medical emergency.
Medical issue, of course.
Yeah, so like I'm like 5 minutes away from making an executive call. Like, all right, we're going to Myrtle. Like, I can't, So I put, I have them on HF3. I've got all 3 radios working at the same time. And I call flight to the back. I said, "Hey, how's she doing?" She's like, she's still a little, woozy and whatnot. She's on high blood pressure medicine." I said, "Well, this is great information. No, has she taken the medicine?" She's like, "No, but she hasn't eaten since yesterday."
Oh man!
Come on, like you're a nurse. Like I know. I can't say that because we pilots mess up all the time. So I know how it is to be a professional and I know it is. So no judgment. That happens, right? So I said, "Hey, we got 5 minutes. Tell her she's got 5 minutes, or I have to make a call and put this plane on the ground. If she's feeling okay enough to push it another hour and 45." She's like, "What do you mean an hour and 45? Yeah, by the way, we're holding the EFC is like 45 minutes from now. We still got to make to Miami, and they're going to give us a reroute." And I said, "Hey, is she prepared to fly for another 2 hours, man? Like literally, we're pushing to go to Miami, but I need to know right now because MedLink, the doctors aren't saying anything. Company's taking a while to get back. I need to know if she's dying or not. Like, help me make a choice." So she's like, "Okay, 5 minutes." I said, "She's got 4 minutes. Like, I need." and so we do a hold and a turn. I get back in the airplane. I said, "Hey, MedLink's not saying anything." I looked down. I said, "Hey, we're 2,000 pounds overweight. We're gonna have to go down and burn gas so we can land underweight." And I said, "If she starts going to cardiac arrest or anything like that, land overweight. But let's plan on going down. Let's go to Myrtle." So I have him call Myrtle Beach on COM2, which is the guard, and that's monitored COM1. Myrtle Beach is waking up. It's 7:00 in the morning. So it took him a little while to answer. I said, "Hey, we're orbiting overhead. Basically, we might come in, stand by for a medical." And flight attendant calls back. She says, "Hey, she says she can make it in 2 hours." I said, "Okay, she's not doing as bad as I thought. Okay, no problem, right?" All right. So get a hold of MedLink. MedLink wants us to do the exact same thing again. Give her O2, give her option, or give her orange juice, and then see if she can eat something. And I'm just like, "Hey, man, this is drawing out a little too long for me." And so I self-induced gave it because the dispatcher was so bogged down, like I couldn't get a hold of him again.
Right.
Finally, I get a hold of him, passing south of Myrtle. I said, hey, we're making a decision to go. I gave us an alternate just in case, just for 45 minutes of extra gas on top of what we've already gotten, and on top of reroutes. And he's like, okay, perfect. What else can I do? I said, hey, Medlink told us to do this. We're on file with them. Cool. Press on. Miami Center called back, says, hey, or Jack Center calls, hey, we got a reroute. Like, all right, this is great. Again, so we originally going to come on the East Coast, come down the east side of Florida. Now he wants us to shift all the way to the west side of Florida. Well, based off of everything we've been told, there is no west side of Florida. Like everything is closed. So get back and say, hey, is that route even going to work? Well, yeah, it's going to work. It's like, oh no, like we need to know. Like everybody's asking, he's sending everybody in that direction, and everybody's looking at their charts, and everybody's looking at what we have, and some people have access to live weather at that point,
Right.
and they're looking at it like this looks like crap. Like no, this doesn't work. And sure enough, we get north of Orlando, and I'm constantly updating our alternates. So hey, if this lady goes south, or something else happens, I'm on alternate. So I had an alternate of Savannah. I think I had an alternate of Orlando was actually doing really good when we got over. We had like 5 alternates that I'm constantly updated with.
Right.
We get over Tampa, right? And ATC said, hey, we need you to turn northbound a little bit. I'm like, no, we're about to be mid-fuel at this point. Like I've literally kept those people in the air an hour and a half longer than what they've already
supposed to.
That's how much gas we had. And, hey, Tampa is our going to be our alternate, and he's like, no, Tampa's actually got a thunderstorm sitting over the top of it. I'm like, all right, great. So now you got to figure out again how much gas we're from where we're at to where we can get to. It's only like 10 minutes. It's only 1,000-pound burn. We're 35 feet. We had enough gas to get there. But I was like, is the hole to get there still going to be there? Meanwhile, like every 30 minutes, I get check in with the lady in the back. Where we get over Tampa, hey, she's not doing too well. I'm like, mother.
No.
All right. I'm like, define your how well, because now I have to start questioning, like, how is how well to you? Like, is she pale? Like I'm not a doctor. I wasn't certified to be a doctor, but all of a sudden I'm Doogie Howser. You know what I mean? Like okay, she's on oxygen, she's doing well, she's just not eating any food. So yeah, throw it up. No, I said, how's her blood pressure? She's like 120 over. Oh, she's 120 over 80, or I don't know. It was at like it was above normal. You know what I mean? It's like right at that threshold.
Right.
It's like, okay. I said 45 minutes. Okay, she push it 45 more minutes. I says she goes, let me call back. I said, we're over Tampa. We were about to be on the arrival, right? She said she can make it. She's good. I said, man, give her a beer. She's more of a trooper on this flight than anything. Like, because Medlink says, hey, look, if her blood pressure is good and she's still breathing, she's good to go. Hey, press on. Don't call us back because they were bogged down. So Jack Center's turning us north. We're 5 minutes out from calling min fuel, bingo fuel. And I said, hey, they give us another turn. We're going to Orlando. Like, I'm not putting up with this anymore. Like, we have physically pushed on to the point where we can't push on anymore. I've exercised all the aviation guru knowledge that you can. Right. Completing the mission is not fun or not worth it really anymore. So I told him, I got on radio and said, hey, we can't take any more turns. You turn us again, we're diverting. He's like, well, I can't promise you the future. You should divert now. I said, well, you expect me to do my job? Do your job, bro. Like, what are we at here? How are we fighting like this? Like, so we pressed on. He didn't push us anymore. We got off the coast of Tampa. We got onto a new star into Miami. So we're coming in from the West Coast, looking down. It's severe clear in Miami. No more alternates needed. We're on the arrival. We're passing like 23,000 feet. We get to descend via a little late, like really late. It's the required feet per minute. I did the math in my head. I'm like, okay, we're not going to have the VSI to do it 7,000 feet per minute down to catch your arrival. So so at that point, the first officer was flying because I was still dealing with a whole bunch of other stuff, and so we hit a little high, and I called him. I said, "Hey, we're not going to make the constraints." He's like, "Yeah, that's fine. That's cool." I'm like, okay, thumbs up, no paperwork, right? We start going on down, and he gives us a descend via again. He takes us off the arrival, says maintain like 11,000. Then he says, okay, descend via the whatever arrival in Miami. I said, cool. Well, unbeknownst to us, when you're on a star, the purpose of star is for traffic separation, ease of management. So you're not thinking of other aircraft. Well,
right.
Sure enough, traffic. All right. So proper per SOP is TCAS out of control. Pilot not flying, range scan outside, look for the plane, right? So it'll pop up amber on the. Then we get descend, level off, and we're like, so he kind of froze. I'm like, bro, so it's autopilot off, flight directors off, notify ATC, out of the red, into the green, right? So we're looking at the VSI. The VSI is pegged red all the way to bottom. So depending on what the constraints are, whatever airplane. So only thing I know, it had to have been us going down, him coming up, and the I guess the required amount, probably he couldn't climb high enough to get to that amount. So it told us to go down faster. And I think what had ended up happening was he just said, screw this. I'm not doing 10,000 feet a minute up. I can't do that up here. So he probably leveled off, and the thing told us to level off. And I'm looking out, and, I have to get up and hit the flight directors off, so he can have, variable thrust. And I'm like, hey, you got to get down, bro. Like down. And he's going down. Down, man, and I'm coaxing him. He's getting it. I was like, we're not gonna fucking hit a plane right now. Like, I'm sorry, like we're not doing this tonight, And so I'm outside. I'm looking. I'm trying to see if I can see this thing at all. It had to have been a fighter. Like it had to have been.
Really?
The way that he leveled off. We got. It's very rare that you get a. Well in excess of 6,000 feet per minute. It's very rare that you get that, but didn't immediately get a level off because the way they leveled off, and it was red, and red is like, you're like 2 seconds away from hitting.
2 seconds, yeah.
And nothing from ATC this whole entire time.
Nothing. He got from me 3120 responded to RA that quick, and I couldn't say anything else because I needed to figure out where this thing is coming. He's coming from the right, so I'm like, all right, let's play game. Let's play ball. So I glanced down, and I think we maybe had, a 500 to 600 foot separation. It said, I remember seeing it say, I remember his target saying 5. I had it zoomed into 10. I look down, look out, and the only thing I could do was make sure that he was in the green, and his level off. We didn't get any G. If you pull G on the aircraft on the ECAS, you'll see a G meter in amber at the bottom. So we didn't pull any G. We didn't pull 1.0 G, but I think we were at 1.0.
At 1.0.
Trying to level off. Wow. And he did a good job trying to level off and get us there. But I think we were within 400 feet, if that, plus or minus whatever altimeter deviation. So it was pretty close. And, it took us a little while. I kind of looked back. I didn't see any plane. Like, I honestly think it was a fighter. I honestly do.
Wow.
Because normally an airliner, you see them, and they're pretty good with the RA, the GA planes, like the Citations. It take a little while to, for the RAs to respond a little bit, but they're pretty good. The fighters, man, this one was like stupid close. You know,
especially on a star. Like you are
Star.
on the arrival, so like it's very rare that would have been other commercial traffic. So you're probably right.
Yeah.
yeah, and going northbound, like everyone where we were, I think we were like north of Fort Myers or something like that. So only people that were over there had to have been GA stuff, and
That'd been GA. Yeah.
didn't see him. But the way that guy leveled off, it had to have been a full pushover. Like it went from
Wow.
to level off quickly. And it does level off, but the RA response to a level off is saying that the other aircraft isn't doing or has changed something that isn't quite where the resolution needs to be. So we were still getting an RA, but the RA command was level off, right? So the other aircraft had to have done something, or else it would have went away.
It went away. Yeah. Wow.
It's nuts.
Yeah,
Nuts.
So, you know. So yeah, so we landed in Miami, waited for a gate. Everything was a cluster. So we had to get out of Miami, right? So we landed in Miami, and I look over to the left, and
it was a turn.
Yeah, it was a turn. We were supposed to go.
Oh man, bro!
I'd have been done after that, man.
So, so right. So, like, we land. I tell I said, hey, man, you got to go get some gas. Handle your business, do what you got to do. We're not going to leave on time. And especially with the thunderstorm, we ain't going northbound. There's no way. They're going to have 50, 100 miles in trail spacing. We're not getting out of Miami anytime soon, right? So I called it taxi it in, right? So we had to wait for a gate for, I think, for 10, 15 minutes. But the lineup off the north runway in Miami, it was like 40 or 50 deep. Like, people had their engines shut down trying to get off. So I was like, I definitely know we're not going northbound.
Man,
we got to go the wrong way around the planet to get,
Wow.
So we park, get down, have the flight attendants have a little powwow, see if everybody's all right, make sure, I said, hey, if you have to go get something to eat, go take a smoke break, do whatever you got to do it now. We're not going anywhere anytime soon. Like, okay, you sure? I said, yeah, I'm positive. Like, I know, like this, we're not going anywhere physically. Whatever we just had to come through, we got to go back through.
Right.
It's not going to happen. Right. So I said, I'll start the bidding at about an hour and 45 minutes just to start boarding. Normally it's normally like a 40 to 50-minute boarding time. But I just knew that they weren't going to have the entrails to do anything. So, so we get down there, we call ATC, say, hey, how's all the northbounds going? They said, yeah, basically nobody's going north. And normally they give you an edict time. They can say, hey, look, we're holding all ground traffic northbound for 45, 50 minutes. This fella got back on and said, no, we just don't know what time we're going to send you northbound. I said, I know. Good. Now I know that instantly means 2 to 3 hours. Instantly. Minimum, bare minimum. We'll start there. So I just say, hey, we're going to hold boarding for go back to, so I had this family there's a mask again. It's like they needed to be on the ground before sunset to pray. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, that's not gonna happen.
On the ground in Philly.
In the ground in Philly to pray. And I said, that's like, well, that's a touchy. And they're asking me, are we going to be on the ground before sunset so we can pray? I'm like, and I had to have them ask me again because I left the airplane and I had to go out and get some fresh air and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, yeah, what is this? And I told them, hey, like, it's weather. Like, no aircraft leaving northbound is leaving. Not American, not Frontier, not JetBlue, not Southwest. No one. You have a better chance driving there than we do having to get off the ground off Miami. I said, not only do we have to go northbound, but Fort Lauderdale has to go northbound. Orlando has to go northbound. Fort Myers has to go northbound. You have thousands of planes trying to get through this tiny little hole in Florida. It ain't gonna happen. Like, the math doesn't work out at all. So I made the decision not for us to board. I told them, hey, look, if it was me, I wouldn't put all your eggs in this basket to get you on the ground before sunset. So it'd probably be in your best interest for you to wait.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, well, we can't wait. I said, well, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, at this point,
your
like,
control, man.
I can't get this done. So what ended up happening was I don't know who got their information from where, but somebody had said that, hey, we could be all northbound departures to be released, and I'm like, no, that's impossible. There's no way. What we just came through, there's no way that just disappeared in one day, right? Called ATC back and said, hey, you guys releasing anybody to the north? They go, we've got one or two. I'm like, that's not what happened. You know what I'm trying to tell you. You got to release everybody to the north. How was your in-trail? He's like, yeah, we're doing about 60 in-trail right now. I said, oh, we definitely ain't going nowhere. So call him back and say, hey, no, we can't. He's like, well, we need this gate. I said, well, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's either we do that, we push out, we taxi around and do a tour of the airport, we come right back. Because that's what's going to happen. Well, they said that we got released, so we had to get off the gate. I said, hey, you guys are making a mistake. I can tell you that, we'll try, but we're going to be out there for a while. They said, are you guys sure? I said, yes, I'm sure. He said, well, we just pushed the 2 aircraft off. I said, they're still sitting out there an hour ago. They're still sitting out there. I said, it's okay. Well, we'll try. We'll give her best foot forward, right?
Right.
Push back. I said to him, I said, hey, single engine.
Yellow pump.
He's like, yeah. I said, yeah. And it was a cluster. Like we taxied out. We shut down the engines on the taxiway. We were out there for 20, talking to dispatch, trying to get same routine all over again. Right. We sat out there for another hour and a half. It took us 4 hours to get from Miami to Philly on a 2-hour and whatever 10-minute flight originally. So the part that my mind physically blew up. Like I physically like. I really wanted to like wring somebody's neck. Was they shut us down and then they swapped the runways. So we were number 4 to take off. We had to start it up. Swap one. I'm like really? So we got out. We all had a convoy of like 30 planes. Get on the runway, get back off the runway, go to the other side, right? And we're like, hey, what number are we now? Because now that we just did that dog and pony dance, we still got to deal with a thunderstorm getting out of there. Oh, yeah, we're doing 40 miles in trail. I'm like, okay, all right. That still doesn't help me. That's like an hour still. So they launched. They're starting to launch planes. I think Miami, Traycon was like, forget it. Just get them in the air. Forget it. Let's go. Forget it. Like, all right, hey, we're in the air. We'll just go, right? We'll just fly as far as we can. We got a lot of gas, right? So they give us, they say, hey, whatever, 3122, hey, line up and wait. I forget the northbound runway, the west runway, east runway. It's a 10 left or something. Line up and wait, right? And so, normally what I do is I range down, I put it in nav mode, range down, so I can see TCAS behind me. So if anybody's coming, and we can quickly get off the runway. And so I start my clock. I'm like, all right. I don't want to be on the runway for more than a minute and a half, if I have to. So they immediately, it gets to like 59 seconds. I start to queue up and he goes, hey, we're going to have a full reroute for you in about another 30 seconds. Just can you line up and wait? A full reroute. Really? So, we both hit the tray out and in my head, I'm like, all right, it might be a small one, but if it's a full reroute, let's get off the runway, right? And mind you, we were about to time out too as well. So we had.
I was going to ask that. Like, you guys got to be, pushing the time out, man.
So we were looking, and so he gave us this reroute, and and I just happened to he gave us his reroute. And I'm writing it down, and I'm like, oh, this doesn't make sense. Like this going straight through it. And I had to FO plug it in, and it shows us negative 21,000 pounds of gas. And ATC the tower gets on and says, "Hey, Spirit Airlines doing a clear for takeoff." I'm like, "Hold up, what the hell, brother? You just gave us a full reroute, and you just told clear for takeoff." Look, I'm good, but I ain't that good. Like I don't know who does a full reroute that quick. And so, I got him over here. He's like, "Oh, we'll just fix it in there." I said, "No, we won't, my man. It's an amber number, an amber digit, and you're about to take off and try to fix it." I said, "You got no." He's like, "Oh, we just figured it." I said, "Well, you can walk there if you want, but we're not taking this plane off the ground until we figure out why this amber is amber, right? You can't take off with an amber digit. In fact, it'll send a number to the dispatch if it stays amber for longer than I think a minute or so." And so, that's called and say, "Hey, we got to get off the runway. We got to figure out this route you gave us." And so Americans over there, there's like a 777. This 777 that was behind us, this dude, he was late for a date. I kid you not, man. He was on my tail pushing. Like, I'm like, "Dang, man, how fast? I'm doing 25 on the runway." This brother, he had to have been late for a date, man. I'm sitting there I'm like, "Dang, I know 777 fast. I just didn't know they taxied that fast." So I hit the curve, I hit the turn, and I look over and I see this thing just right with me, just the whole way. Like, "Dang, man, you late or what, man?" Like, Jesus. So anywho, so I hear, we cue off as, "Hey, man, we get off the road, we get to figure it out." They go, "Hey, thanks, Spirit, thanks, Spirit, thanks, Spirit, thanks, Spirit, thanks, Spirit, thanks, Spirit." Like we were holding up, we were on the runway for like 5 minutes, and I get off the runway, figure it all out. We had enough gas. They taxi us out, say, "Hey, we're good to go." I told dispatcher we had like 5 minutes, say, "Hey, can you get us off the ground in 5 minutes?" He said, "Hey, you're next." I said, "All right, cool." Get down, bust this 180 on the runway, go. Right, get up in the air, same bit, navigate through the thunderstorms. If I take calls us back like north of freaking north of Georgia, she was like, "Hey, were you get there before sunset?" I said, "Yeah, we got a good shot. We passed all the weather. I was like, I can't do anything. I can't tell them yes because we diverge. Right. I physically can't tell them yes, but outside of that, man, I mean, we have to accommodate everybody as best as possible. And and then that was it. We timed out. I spent a couple days in Philly, and here we sit. Still,
that was so Gio was saying that must have been the 31st.
That was
a week or so ago, a Friday, because he said his flight was delayed out of Fort Lauderdale going to Newark.
That was everybody still is screwed up. I mean, anybody who operates out of Florida still is feeling that pain.
Like April to like September, August, September time frame is always some shenanigans with that. I remember being in Orlando, having to get to New York. We had to fly northwest to Cleveland first, and then back east to Kennedy. So 2.5 hour flight turned into almost 4
hours
for that same thing, because we had that long trailing
line
weather from the northeast all the way down. Crazy.
That's how it rolls, man. I mean, that's what happens to Florida. And there's another one coming. So anybody got any plans flying?
Watch them.
Expect that.
Wild.
Let's watch them. Wow, that's crazy. But but I will say this: that whole story just goes back to I mean, that's those decisions that you made, Rob. I mean, that's earning your money as a captain, brother. I mean, that was it. I mean, that was prime example. I don't think they could have made a better person.
It's more than just flying the plane, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, when a lot of people kind of get shell shocked sometimes when you realize they're like, "Oh, I didn't sign up for this." Like that was it. It's like, when it gets tough, and it helps. I guess it was back and forth. It helps. Upgrading at the regionals. You get to go through some stuff like that sometimes, and they're looking for somebody to step it up. So, um, you know, experience does matter when it matters. You know.
Sure.
For sure. Well, man, again, that was hey Chief, what's going on, brother? Give you a shout out, man. But no, Rob, like again, experience absolutely, absolutely does matter, especially when you run into situations like that. I mean, you gotta, that's where definitely earn your money. But again, brother, man, it's we're going to knocking on another CTP record, 3 hours. Come on, 5 minutes there. But again,
I'll have more stories for you.
No, I mean we'll
we
keep
ain't done
racking
yet.
them up. No, we'll keep racking them up, brother. Like I said, this is always an outlet for you, and I mean we give you the keys to the channel, so definitely appreciate it. But Mike, man, any closing thoughts, man? It's kind of
I'm blown away, man. This was I just been here in the background, just soaking it all in, man. Because like we don't have enough of this in the community, and I say it all the time. Like we don't have this access. And Rob, we appreciate you coming on, sharing your stories, giving advice, paving the path. I mean, we had folks in here earlier like Bliss, who's looking to become a commercial aviator, right? And a lot of the times, especially back in the day, right, you have to pay for that level of knowledge and pay for that information and fight and claw your way through those networking opportunities. And here we have someone who's kind of been there, done that, and the many others that come onto this podcast as well. So we appreciate it, man. We appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me here.
For sure. Community, Captain Rob. Charlie says, Captain Rob, the community thanks you for your time, sir. And we thank you. We thank you as well. Bromance aside, we definitely appreciate every opportunity. We get to we get to spend with you for sure.
yeah. I always enjoy talking with y'all guys, man. Y'all do. I always end up listening to your podcast and stuff when I'm out on the road anyway. So I'm always tuned in. Catching it later or whatnot, but I'm listening.
Oh, for sure. We're so humbled, man. Yeah, that means we just need to step up our game, man. Because man, we've been slacking. We'll do like one show a month or something like that.
Well, you didn't have any internet, man. What you expect us to do?
Man. Yeah, I know, bro. I've been slacking. I gotta give Mike grief, man. Even though I was the one that was slacking, but. Again, shout out to Elon, so we're good hashtag MetBus. That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
That's a good one. I like that one.
I like that
one. Oh, man. But guys, before I'm divorced, man, I appreciate you. Appreciate the time. And again, guys, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to reach out. We are on the socials, typical socials there, Facebook, working on the Instagram, Twitter, something else, whatever. Just a great stories. So awesome stories from Rob, yep, for sure. So make sure you hit us up there. Mike, man, I know you said your piece earlier, but any final thoughts?
No, man. Keep on keeping on. Keep the blue side up, man.
Yeah, keep the blue side up. Keep the blue side up for sure. Awesome, guys. Well, until next time, take care of yourselves and each other, and we will see you. Mike, roll us out.
Roll us out.